Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. My name is Erik Nagel. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It's Erik Nagel. Follow all of those things, and you can follow E-Rock Radio on Instagram. But what's more important is that we are on the floor of San Diego Comic-Con 2015. You can hear the cheers and the excitement in the back. We're broadcasting from the NECA Toy Pavilion on the floor of San Diego Comic-Con, so we got to thank those guys right off the bat. Thank you so much for letting us use the space here. The space on the floor at San Diego Comic-Con is very valuable. People pay through the nose just for a tiny booth, and then you get these big companies that buy what they call city blocks or convention blocks. They're these huge pavilions, huge like pull-ups and displays and toy figures and fixtures and statues and paintings, and it's crazy shit. Right next to us we're on top of NECA Toys. NECAonline.com is a plug. You should check everything out there. We're going to talk to Randy a little bit later in the show. But next to me here, I can see Hasbro Toys has a huge thing. Toynami, Mattel's right next to us. Lego, McFarlane Toys, down the aisle there a bit. I see a big Funko thing at the end. Like, everybody's here representing, showing all the new stuff, all the exclusives that they have for the con that people go nuts for. People are trying to just stand on lines waiting hours to get these things here. In fact, on preview night, which is Wednesday night, apparently over at the Hasbro exhibit there, people were getting robbed, beat up, and stuff was getting stolen. It was a huge ordeal, and I happened to be on the other side of the con when this was going on. But then after I left, there's articles online. You can check it out for yourself. People are just beating each other up to get these exclusive toys, limited edition stuff. It's insane. So if you think, all this nerdy geek culture stuff is like, who gives a fuck? Well, apparently it's a big deal because a lot of people buy these exclusives and then they go and flip it for an enormous amount of money, either at their own local stores or on eBay or whatever. Or some people are just really into what they collect and will do anything possible to get their hands on what they want. Anyway, so we are on the floor of San Diego Comic-Con 2015. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown as to what is coming up on the program tonight. We're going to talk to the cast and crew of Doctor Who. I could just end the show there for myself, but the rest of you may love Doctor Who. Some of you may not like Doctor Who. Some of you have no idea who Doctor Who is. This one's a biggie for me. With Doctor Who, we're going to talk to Michelle Gomez, Jenna Coleman, showrunner Stephen Moffat, and the Doctor himself, Peter Capaldi. We'll get to that in a little bit. We're going to talk to Ron Perlman a little bit later in the program. He has a brand new show coming to Amazon Instant Video called Hand of God. Director John Schnepp and Holly Payne, the producer, they're behind the movie The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. It's a niche documentary about, back in the late 90s, there's supposed to be a new Superman movie called Superman Lives, starring Nicolas Cage as Superman. All this guff, all this negativity around it. Nobody liked the outfit. Nobody liked Nicolas Cage being Superman. Kevin Smith was attached to it at one point, writing the script. Tim Burton was directing everything. And then all of a sudden, it just disappeared, and John wanted to know what the hell happened. So he went out and started a Kickstarter fund, got the money, made the movie. It's coming out. You're definitely going to want to check this out if you're into any of that stuff. Another director, Bird McDonald, did a movie called Vintage Tomorrows. It's about the rise of steampunk in culture today, the interest, what it's all about, why people care about this thing. We'll talk to him a little bit. We'll talk to our friends at Loot Crate, who are also sponsoring today's show, which we do have to thank them so much for that. We'll go over to the Nerdist. We say hi to the people over at the Nerdist. They're actually putting out a movie called The Hive, a brand new horror movie, and we'll talk to the cast and crew of that. Also later in the show, NBA superstar Dwight Howard will be on the program. How did that come about? Simple. I ran into him on the floor here at Comic-Con. He's having a good time. He's buying stuff. He's taking photos. So I said, can we talk to you for a little bit? And he agreed to. So we're going to sit down and talk about his Comic-Con experience and so much more. So let's just start the show right now. First, we're going to go to the biggie, Doctor Who. BBC America here in the United States, and maybe in Canada. I don't know what they have up there. BBC Canada, probably. For Doctor Who, Season 9 comes back in the fall. Everyone's excited. It's the 12th Doctor, starring Peter Capaldi. Whole bunch of crazy shit's going on in this next season. This is a rare opportunity because they don't do many interviews in the United States, and we were granted one of those interviews. So let's go over to the BBC America press room and talk to the cast of Doctor Who. It's the big Doctor Who event here at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm here with Michelle Gomez, and she just told me how SiriusXM saved her life. How was that?
I am a transplant living in Brooklyn, in New York, and I've always been a fan of radio, and I've struggled to find my radio station and find my music, and it's difficult to listen to radio in America, and difficult to watch television in America because there's just so many commercials. So when I fell upon Sirius XM, I can now, just have my music streamed without having to listen to somebody else's opinions, and I love it.
What are some of your favorite channels?
I'm kind of stick to more of the kind of like soul and groove, and a little bit of like nostalgia as well with some jazz, and it's kind
Well, we do have all of that. No, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Michelle Gomez, for those who don't know, was introduced to the Doctor Who world in season 8 as Missy, but then it was revealed, it's no spoiler to anybody because that season's over, that you're the Master.
I am the Master, that's right, regardless of my gender. And it's a lot of fun being the most evil woman of the universe.
What does it feel like when, for years, everybody's been like, oh, the Doctor should change into a female, and they kind of answered it by having a Time Lord change into a female, but it wasn't the one they were expecting?
Yeah, they're very clever, these guys. That Mr. Stephen Moffat is just a dastardly dog. He's a very clever man, and you're never going to get what you expect. And, the more you ask for something in Doctor Who, the more he'll run in the opposite direction. It's a surprise to everybody. It was a surprise to me, and a delight, and that's still the door is still open, for perhaps maybe one day there being a female Doctor, but at the moment we have a magnificent Doctor in Peter Capaldi, and I'm enjoying ticking the female box for the Master.
Well, at the end of the last season, we saw you get vaporized, but now you're back for this season, and I guess the question is, you're wearing a bracelet, and it looks sort of like the one that, Captain Jax would wear for time travel. Is this the same bracelet? Did you get this somehow?
I can't talk about those specifics because I'm first and foremost a fan, and I want to just protect the level of anticipation for these questions. And there is a way that I came back. Yes.
Is it? Well, I guess I'm not going to get an answer to this either. But is it possible that you're not really the Master, even though you said so? You're impersonating.
I'm the Master.
Okay. So that is definite.
Absolutely.
Another question I had was in season 8. I don't know if it was just a matter of production as far as reusing scenery, but there is a particular scene where you're sitting in a chair looking over a courtyard, and I'll show it to you right here. And it also was used in an episode with Amy Pond. Is there a tie into that, or is it just a coincidence?
Oh, there's no coincidence. In Doctor Who, everything's connected, and that's what makes it really spooky in a way. Yes, there's connection yet to be revealed.
All right, last question, and I see you have to go here. So season 9, you're coming back in a big, big way here. What can we expect more from the Master?
The Master's actually come back. Missy's come back in a different dynamic. That's all I can say. There's something a little different about her this season. What I can say about the series is that there's a sort of grand electricity to it. It feels very charged. It's almost like that kind of energy you get in LA with the sort of tectonic plates going on. There's something definitely in the air. It's very adventurous.
Could it be like a Clara Sing where there's different versions of you all throughout time?
I don't know. You're gonna have to see.
Missy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Joined now by the man who's made Doctor Who what it is today, Mr. Stephen Moffat. I almost called you Dr. Stephen Moffat.
Yeah. Technically I am. I have an honorary doctorate, so you would have been correct.
Okay. Season 9 is coming back in the fall.
That's correct, yes.
Very exciting, a lot of good stuff, and going in every season seems to have a different direction as far as the Doctor always rediscovering himself, or actually, as progress has been going on, trying to enjoy his life more. And that seems to be some of the synopsis for season 9, that he's going out and trying to live life more rather than worry about everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, every year you have to treat the Doctor as a real character. You have to think of him. He's actually living that life in that police box. You always have to be able to answer the question, why does he do it? Is he looking for something? Is he entertaining himself? Is he running away from something? Is he running to something? You always have to have his story. You can't just assume that he knows he's in a TV series and has to turn up in a different time zone and fight a different monster every week. You actually have to have his story. And so, yes, this year it's very much the story of, hey, you know what? I'm going to stop worrying so much. I got a time machine and a best friend, and I am going to enjoy the hell out of that.
Now, going into season 9, Doctor Who received its biggest ratings ever with Peter Capaldi joining the cast here. Now, it's weird because when Tennant took over, it really brought Doctor Who worldwide acknowledgement, and with Matt Smith, it got it really big in America. Going from younger doctors to an older doctor, everyone thought would be kind of risky, but it seems to have paid off in stripes here.
Nothing that ever pays off isn't a risk. I mean, you have to take a risk to get a payoff. Playing it safe is the safest way to lose. Honestly, you you absolutely have to push the boat out. You absolutely have to be thinking, are we doing the right thing? If you don't have butterflies in your stomach, you're not going to make the jump.
How hard is it to, when you're going through the process of writing and creating building out the story arcs, where you see what the fans are putting out and the response that they're getting, and to not kind of cater to the fans, but to cater what's true to the story and what's true to the characters itself? How hard is that to walk that line, and where you might be doing something that the fans aren't going to like, but it seems later on they'll come around and go, okay, now I get it?
Well, first of all, and most of the fans, by the way, would completely agree with this, you can't make it to cater to the fans. You can't, because the audience of Doctor Who, I don't know, we estimated was about 77 million, of whom several thousand are die-hard fans. I mean, the arithmetic is very much there. In my opinion, what the fans want more than anything is for Doctor Who to stay on the air and continue to be successful. That's what they want. So they know we have to play to the gallery, not just to them. At the same time, I'm a fan myself. I know what we all love. So it's not like we don't ever include special treats. You know, I always kind of think we're lobbing jokes over the heads of the audience to the fans at times, saying, "You'll get this. No one else will. This is just for us." So you know, it's fine. But you can't listen to the fans in that sense. Except, you know, sometimes fans make incredibly good points. So sometimes you do. There's no hard and fast rule.
With season 9, are some things going to be answered as far as maybe his hunt for Gallifrey, his tie-in with Day of the Doctor, maybe his tie-in with the Pompeii episode?
Some things will be answered. I mean, we are going to resolve the matter of his face. I've said that in advance. We actually are going to say he's going to try and figure out where he's seen that face before. But beyond that, you're on your own.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Doctor Who Season 9 returns in the fall. I'm here with Stephen Moffat. Thank you so much, sir. It's been an honor.
Pleasure.
No, go ahead. Take your time. I'm here with Jenna Coleman. That's just Jenna Coleman now, right? Not Jenna Louise Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that became such a thing.
Probably for actors' rights or something, or getting paid or equity, something like that.
Oh, no, it's just because I only get called Jenna Louise when I'm in trouble, and people were calling me, and it was very odd to me.
So it's a mom thing.
It's all my mum's fault, yeah.
Jenna Louise, of course, is Clara. Doctor Who. Season 9 coming in the fall here. Everyone's very excited. The news from Season 8 was that they didn't think you were returning, and then all of a sudden you decided to return here, which threw everyone off, and it was a good thing too, because usually when there's a new doctor, they write out that kind of handover, and then the companion leaves and a new companion comes in for a new doctor, but you're staying for the whole ride here with 2 different doctors.
Yeah.
Was this your decision? Did they beg you to come back and say, look, we have more for Clara, this is really going to work, or did you really love this so much that you wanted to stay?
Both. It was just a case of my contract was up, but there was more to do, and I only had 1 year with Peter, and we'd spent the series getting to a place where they knew each other, so it wasn't the right time in story terms to leave at all. And I adore and love working with Peter. I just have so much fun, and he challenges me and pushes me, and there was just more to do.
Now, the evolution of Clara, we'll say, when we met her towards the end of the 11th Doctor run with Matt Smith, we saw the important part of where it was leading up to, that you were always a part of the Doctor's history, and the conclusion as far as that, I guess, storyline goes with Day of the Doctor. Then, having Peter Capaldi come in, your relationship strained. It was almost like you didn't, not only did you know this man that you used to know, but you didn't want to be there anymore, but you started to gel as the season went on. Going into Season 9, how is your relationship with the Doctor?
I think they've reached a place of understanding and kind of a place of peace, so it means instead of them looking into each other, they can both be united and look out towards adventure and run at it really fast and kind of chase adrenaline-fueled adventure with reckless abandon. So it's quite a different feel. We've described it as like the glory days of Clara and the Doctor, and it's all about living in the moment and having fun and enjoying yourself.
Is it a fair assessment where when you were introduced to the Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor, as that relationship was growing, it was almost like a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of thing, but then when Peter Capaldi came in, the relationship sort of became like father-daughter?
I think the thing about relationship with companion and Doctor is it's never one thing. It's like millions of things, and I think there was definitely, it was leaning towards romantic tendencies with Matt's Doctor, and I think she was falling in love with him, and vice versa, I think. Well, Stephen says so. And I think in a way, you know, Clara is the school teaches Peter's Doctor a lot of how to, you know, interact with humans, and all this, the relationships are always flipped on their head. So, you know, it is father-daughterly, but at the same time, she can be like the mother with the toddler as well. With him, they can be both friends on equal terms. It's a mixture of things. It's a mixed bag.
Not just for Doctor Who Season 9, what is Clara's role now in the new Lego Dimension?
She is in danger and she gets rescued.
Pretty simple.
Classic, yeah.
You also had a role in Captain America, the First Avenger there. Are you looking at maybe down the line when your time is done with Doctor Who to maybe doing more adventure stuff going into the Marvel Universe or the DC Universe?
For me, it's just about chasing cool scripts and good parts, and I don't know what's next. But I kind of don't really focus on that. I just focus more on what script lands on my desk and if I respond to it or not.
I just thought it'd be a lot of fun. Like, wow, I could become a superhero in a whole nother world. Thought that would be exciting.
Yeah, it's a great genre. Like, I've loved my time in Doctor Who, and I love the end product of watching those kind of films and Doctor Who, and the adventure and the imagination that it kind of that comes out of it. So I love that genre.
Final question for you. Now, with all the Doctor Who stuff that's going on, especially with it coming back in the fall, a 2-part episode, which, by the way, do you know if it runs together or is it week by week?
What, the end of this series, you mean?
No, the beginning of Season 9. It's a 2-part beginning.
Week by week, yeah.
All right, so they're not running back to back, but they're running week by week.
Yeah.
Jenna Louise, thank you. I keep calling Jenna Louise like you're in trouble. Jenna Coleman, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You too. Nice to meet you.
Doctor Who here at San Diego Comic-Con, and this is truly an honor. I'm speaking with Peter Capaldi.
Hello there, how are you doing?
How are you, sir? Season 9, everyone's excited. This is your first Comic-Con doing stuff with the Doctor. How's it feel to go through all of this?
It's really, really exciting. I mean, people keep saying to me, are you nervous? That's making me nervous now. People keep saying, are you nervous? Because obviously we're going to have to go into Hall H with many thousands of Doctor Who fans. But that's wonderful. It's a delight, the idea that we're going to see so many people who like the show. And I took a little walk last night and I started to taste some of the carnival atmosphere and see people dressed up in the street as, you know, Spider-Man or Imperial Stormtroopers. And obviously a lot of people from the show who were fans of the show noticed me and started chatting to me, and I ended up being led down to the convention centre, and it was just lovely. There's such a warm, supportive atmosphere here, and it's great to be around.
There's also a lot of ridiculousness around this whole event.
But what a laugh, isn't it? What a laugh, what a gas, isn't it fantastic? I kept saying, because our people were sort of saying, oh, you need security here and all that stuff, and I said, well, you know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We've got to go and do this. We've got to go and just meet the fans and see how they feel and see what that's like.
Did it ever come to mind to do what Matt Smith did one year, where he put the Homer Simpson mask and walked the floor and nobody knew it was him?
Well, I'm not finished yet. I may yet do that. I don't know what mask I might wear, but yeah, I might do that. Actually, it was very sweet. They showed us around the hall last night with all the merchandise, which I wanted to rifle through, but I couldn't do it. But it was absolutely empty. It was strange and eerie. You know, it was like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. But yeah, I don't know. I might do that. Who knows? You know what?
One of the biggest things being sold on the floor is your Funko Pop figure.
Funko Pop? So what's a Funko Pop figure? I don't know what that is.
It's a small thing. They're kind of like really gigantic heads. Some are bobbleheads, some are just little figures.
Yes, no, I have seen that. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. That's funny. Yes, I have to approve those things. They bring them into my trailer and they say, "Do you approve of this?" And I say, "Yes, of course." Who is it? Who's that supposed to be? Oh, it's me. All right, okay. Where'd the grey hair come from?
And then you ask, "Can I get one of those?" And they charge you for it.
No, they go like, "No, I have no merchandise."
Season 9 comes this fall. Of course, you're returning as the Doctor. Lots going on involving Clara, yourself, the Master. In this season, are there any kind of hints or ties to your appearance in Day of the Doctor and the search for Gallifrey?
Yes.
That's all he can say.
Well, it's really hard. Right at this moment, I'm here at Comic-Con, but I'm actually in the middle of filming episode 11, which is part of the finale of this season. So I know stuff that is unfolding in episode 11, and I know certain things that are happening in episode 12. I don't know. I haven't read episode 12, so I don't know exactly what's going on there. But in answer to your question.
You'll have to wait and see.
You'll have to wait and see, really. I'll have to wait and see. True, I haven't read it.
Can you at least tell me what the Doctor's role is in Lego Dimensions?
He is the best character in it. That's what his role is. Yes, you can go on there with Batman and Gandalf and Wildstyle and go through various levels. And one of the levels you can go to is a Doctor Who level, which is very sophisticated. I was really knocked. I mean, I did the voice for it, but obviously the game wasn't in existence when I did the voice. But when I saw it yesterday, there's this huge kind of cinematic experience. And also they have this thing. They have all 12 Doctors, and you can, if you decide to play as, for instance, the first Doctor. The TARDIS changes to his TARDIS.
To fit that time.
And the most amazing thing is it goes into monochrome for his.
So you're playing in black and white.
When you're inside his TARDIS, it's in black and white.
Very
the rest in color. Very. And those Lego figures are so ironic. They're so. I mean, I think just by being a Lego figure, you're automatically funny. But they maintain the sort of. The guys who did the game are. They love Doctor Who so much, so their affection for it is so sincere. But what you get is that great wit, because they also know a good joke when they see it. But they also know a good monster, and they also know, that the TARDIS is fabulous, and the Doctor should go and rescue people, and there are great Daleks in it, and a Cyberman King and stuff. It's fantastic.
I love how passionate you are about it.
It's just a laugh. How great can it? What a fantastic position to be in at this age, to be showing all this stuff, given all these toys, that to be part of this empire of Doctor Who is a delight.
I'm running out of time with you, so my last question for you is taking over and getting this role of an iconic, which was a part of British history, now world history, being Doctor Who and taking the Doctor role, but coming off Malcolm Tucker from the thick of it, where most of America was recognizing you from because of Netflix. They were up on the Netflix there. How was the transition as far as in your head going from Malcolm Tucker to the Doctor?
Well, it was quite easy in some way, because in fact I think it'd be true to say that Malcolm is further away from me in real. He was more of a performance. Right. I'm less like him. I'm more like the Doctor than I am like Malcolm. So in a way, that when you play the Doctor, you sort of bring him close to you. That's what the whole gig is you bring him as close to yourself as possible. So it really was abandoning all the tropes of Malcolm, but which wasn't difficult, because it was a definite performance, and there were mechanical things that I employed in Malcolm that I wouldn't with the Doctor.
Did they ever ask you to Malcolm it up a little on Doctor Who set?
No, sometimes on bad days I sometimes do that automatically.
Peter Capaldi, Season 9 this fall for Doctor Who. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to talk to you.
Here at an interesting location for this interview, saying hello to director John Schnipp and Holly Payne. How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
We're here to talk about your movie, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. Now, before we get into that, you've had 3 different location changes today, where they had you on the floor, then they had you at one bar, then they had you at another bar. Now we're out on the balcony overlooking the bay here in San Diego.
We weren't aware of any of that. We were just told to come here, so...
Yeah, whatever location problems you had didn't affect us at all. We've been here the whole time.
Oh, then that's something I had to deal with then.
I'm sorry.
So we're sitting out here on the balcony, and we want to talk about this movie.
Sorry, we're going to change locations. Is that going to bum you out?
Sure, I'll just hit pause and see you in 4 hours. Let's talk about the movie here. First of all, this project got started through Kickstarter, and it's one of the success stories of Kickstarter.
Right,
a lot of people put stuff out there through Kickstarter and other Fund Me projects, and some have great concepts, some are ridiculous, and then some just don't get the funding that they need to make their stuff, and then some do, and then it doesn't go anywhere, like Veronica Mars.
Right.
But this
nowhere.
Yeah, but this one is a little different. There was actually a lot of enthusiasm for such a niche topic.
I know. Well, I look at it this way, like doing something on Kickstarter is, to me, it is a niche group of people that you can directly connect with.
Yeah.
And I always trust my gut on projects. Anything that I do professionally or even creatively, I trust myself. And because the reason I trust myself as a dyed-in-the-wool nerd is I know that if it's something that interests me, I think that there's at least a million other nerds who are interested as much as I am. And if I can connect with them and communicate with them, then they're going to want to see what I'm going to make because it's something that I want to see. So by doing that kind of process in my mind, I never second guess myself. I trust my gut. And then this idea for doing a documentary on the Superman Lives really just came from my interest in the artwork and trying to find out if there was more artwork and why this fell apart, because it had so many things in my mind going for it. It had a great, amazing director, Tim Burton. It had interesting scripts written by Kevin Smith, Wesley Strick, Dan Gilroy. It had Nicolas Cage as Superman, which was an inspired casting choice. Had a lot of different things going for it, and it fell apart. So seeing all the artwork, it really interested me. And then over the years, kind of trying to find more about it over the years on the internet, is just ultimately I ran into Steve Johnson back in 2012 at one of these shows that we were at, and then I talked with Holly and a bunch of our friends at dinner and told them all my interest of collecting, this behind the scenes footage and just my interest in the Superman Lives project. And everyone there at the table was like, wow, that's you really into it, and the way you told it sounds really interesting. You should make a documentary. I said, I don't make documentaries. They said, you should do it on Kickstarter, because the year before I'd raised $175,000 to make a short animated short. So I'd already done a really successful Kickstarter, so they're like, why don't you do another Kickstarter? I was like, nah, I don't want to do it a documentary. The idea would not leave me alone. I was like, no one else is going to make this. I realized that, I'm in my own mind, I was like, no one will make this. That people have talked about making it, but no one, in certain terms, has the fucking guts to make it, because it's such a weird concept. Anybody I told about it, they were like, yeah, well, it's definitely weird. You're going to make a documentary. It's a career suicide in a certain sense, because known as a director of cartoons and TV shows, and here I am trying to make a documentary about a failed thing from 15 years ago. People thought I was crazy. So I ran the Kickstarter. It was a success. I thought I could do it in a lot sooner, quicker amount of time, because doing television production, you slate everything out. The one thing I didn't count on is being powerless. Because you're not hiring people to work with you, you're asking real people to be involved in your documentary and have them be interviewed. And some of the people didn't want to talk. Some of the people felt weird about it. Some of the people felt embarrassed about it.
Even when we went, we were at a D. Antwoord show, actually. It was at Meltdown Comics, and that's where John saw Steve Johnson, who's the creator of Slimer, and worked on Videodrome and a bunch of other. He's amazing. He's a master special effects guru. And even when John went up to talk to him, he was the guy who created that, infamous rainbow light up Superman suit. And he was gun shy. He was like, because John was like, you're the guy who did that suit, right? And he's like, yeah. But so it was like one of those things where, there was
very hesitant, like, why? What are you going to tell me next?
What's up your sleeve?
At first, we were like, we got introduced by another nerd who was like, yo, this is the guy who directs Metalocalypse. This is the guy who created Slimer. You guys got to meet. So we were all nerding out about a bunch of different stuff. And then he left, and I was like, man, the dude looks really familiar. And then I Googled his name, and that Superman footage popped up. I was like, of course. So when he came back, I was like, hey, man, you made that Superman suit. And he just turned white. Like, the whole approach, like, we weren't cool anymore. I was like, yeah, no, I made that, yeah. He didn't want to talk about it. So that's what we were talking about at the dinner table. Is like, it was a weird thing that so many people felt embarrassed or shamed for being involved in a project that everybody makes fun of. Look at Nicolas Cage, you look stupid, this and that.
It had been so derided for so many years at that point. I mean, it's nearly 20 years, and so it was like a long time of people looking at that Polaroid of Nicolas Cage and saying, and that shiny suit, which looked like an action figure. I mean, I remember seeing that photograph many years ago and thinking, I think they photoshopped Nicolas Cage's head on top of an action figure. It didn't look real. And then to find, actually, we didn't know that it wasn't until we saw we had access to all the concept art and the photos and all that stuff. So I was blown away when I saw that. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But there was so much negativity circulating around Superman Lives for so many years that I think people were, it's like, well, you're opening Pandora's box. Do you really want to get into this, And
I was like, let's open that box. Because, honestly, like, have you seen the film yet?
No, I have not seen the film yet.
I'd love to hear your opinion once you see it, but it's like a lot of people, you always use that we dodged a bullet, but because of that photo or because of the Kevin Smith story. But then upon further exploration, I think we missed a a movie that would have become a classic, I think, because the perspective of taking someone like Tim Burton at the height of his career in many ways, and taking Nicolas Cage also in many ways at the height of his career, just coming off of winning an Oscar, doing The Rock, doing Con Air, being at the height of being a popular actor, and out of the niche roles that he was known for. You have all these people, all these amazingly talented people, all at the heights of their careers in many ways, being involved in a character that's been around. At that time, it's 60 years the character had been around, so this was a different take on that character, and it was a way to breathe new life into that character. And movies in many ways are movies based on comic book characters are just, to me, like an Elseworlds is the way I describe it. It's not a real, it's like you shouldn't be afraid of taking chances with a movie. This is when you can take chances. You can explore it in a different direction. Comic books are so niche. It's like you should be trying to expand it to a larger marketplace. People always forget that movies are entertainment, so that's one of the reasons the film got
people
pulled.
Take it very personally.
I know, especially
they have
comic
no
book
involvement
fans.
other than either you like the particular character, franchise, or I buy the merchandise. But that's about as far as you go, as far as what your investment is on those properties. Now, you Holly had mentioned earlier all the negativity that was surrounding that movie in the time. The movie was supposed to be, what, like 98, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to right before all the negativity is hitting there. It's coming in a time where superhero movies are starting to break through in the 90s, but also falling back a little bit because of the Batman sequels weren't doing well and became campy and parodies of themselves. And then I guess by the fourth one they were aware that they were campy parodies and started to play into that, and then it just kind of killed the whole thing for the movie companies.
Yeah,
and
what it basically became was garbage.
Right.
I mean, it's like what you had were a lot of attempts by people who didn't really understand how to communicate comics to film. So you had attempts like the
Phantom. Made it very cartoony.
Yeah, Phantom or the Shadow or the Mask. There's all these. I mean, like, granted, like the Mask as a film is very entertaining.
I mean, even if you look at the colors are so garish. Everything's like straight directly from the page of comic books. They're going for, you know, the Dick Tracy bright yellows and greens and the Mask and all of these things that were so. It's like you can see where they were going. And Batman was a success, you know, but at the same time, there's.
Ultimately, it's like they couldn't sell Happy Meals. That's why Tim Burton's Batman Returns was too dark and strange for the studios, because they're like, kids are
beloved by the audience and the fans of Batman.
Pretty much. I mean, it was like, well, look, kids are crying about the penguin with the weird flippers when they bought the Happy Meal. So
biting the blood and everything.
So it was a little too dark at that time, and now we like fully accept dark superhero movies. We're like, look at Kick-Ass, look at Super.
They just want to keep going darker.
Get darker. Look at the Dark Knight with the Joker's the interpretation that Heath Ledger and Christopher Nolan and David Goyer were able to pull off one of the most striking and horrifying versions of the Joker ever. And even then, fans were fucking hating on it. Heath Ledger as the Joker, this is horrible casting. Why don't you fucking relax and wait till the movie comes out? That's my opinion, period, on anything, especially Ben Affleck as Batman. It's like, look, it's different. And also, didn't the guy just do The Town, which is an incredible film? It's not the same thing as Daredevil, but people don't even think about that. They don't think about, like, well, the guy who wrote and directed Daredevil's a different person than the person who's making this other film.
I'll tell you where Strike 2 is on that, and not from me, but just from, you know, the people online and fans who just want to judge quickly before they actually see the context of anything. One, yes, Ben Affleck's cast in there. Everyone's going, what the fuck? This is horrible. Number two, the teaser comes out. Superman, it's dark. He's up in the sky. It's raining. It cuts to Batman. He's got glowing eyes. And everyone just is like, what the fuck is this? They're going back to cartoony shit again. And you know, that's why...
Haters gonna hate.
They're gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. And here's the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is the same thing goes for our film. You know, people are like, they're gearing up to hate on maybe not the documentary, but anything to do with Superman Lives because of that negativity we were talking about earlier.
Well, let me ask you about, you spoke with Tim Burton about all of this here. Now, Tim Burton's now coming back in 98 at this time to take the reins of Superman. He kind of successfully brought back the comic book movie by doing Batman and Batman Returns and gave it the start that it needed for others to do it, and everyone else kind of dropped the ball.
Right.
Now, he's coming back to the superhero genre to take on Superman at the time. Yeah. Was he nervous and worried because of all the flack that the Batman movies were getting around that time, that he's coming back into that genre to try to save it again?
Well, you know what's interesting? What you're saying is, I mean, there's elements of truth to it, because like when he did the Batman film, the cinematic world of Batman to the rest of the general public, they only saw Adam West Like, we as comic book nerds had already read The Dark Knight. We're like, you don't understand. Frank Miller's Batman. Then, did you read Year One? That's such a tiny microcosm of the rest of the planet. Right. Everyone else was like, oh, Adam West, yeah, he's climbing up the side of the building with, the Joker's got a mustache. You know, it's all funny, ha. That's the perception of the general public until Batman came out. And so you watch Batman now, it's a lot different, but... You know, back then, that blew everyone away.
No, that was game-changing.
One of the things that's in the doc, you'll hear Wesley Strick, who is the second screenwriter, talk about it. He said, talking to Tim about making superhero films, that Tim described it as Chinese water torture. And the reason that he wanted to make Batman 2, which is what it was called at the time, he said he'd learned things on the first one that he wanted to sort of do better in the second one. And I think the same thing could be said for Superman Lives. I think he was still trying to break in, get his stamp on that, and no matter what, if it was a superhero film or anything else, he wants to put his own flavor on it. But the fact that it was Superman and not Batman meant he could actually do things that he could never have done in Batman and go lighter,
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people think that Tim Burton's take on Superman would have been like some goth, freakish thing. It was like dark, spooky Edward Scissorhands Superman. It was, those pictures that are out there, that was the regeneration suit. The actual Superman suit was exactly what you think it would be. And the film itself, the artwork and the concept designs that were like from Metropolis, and they were like lighter tone. It was like, would have been an airier type of brighter, almost like a fairy tale type film. And so it would have had that sense of humor that Mars Attacks had. It wouldn't have been dark and grim like Man of Steel. So it was definitely that people were really freaked out by Batman and Robin. So I think because his name is on there as a producer, that also helped tank Superman Lives.
Last question before you guys go here. Is Superman savable? Because say Superman Lives did get made and come out, it might have been fine, I guess, for the time, even though the hate was all around it.
Right.
But I don't know if that particular vehicle had enough power to jumpstart the Superman franchise again. And then it would take a while until Superman Returns came out, and despite the plane scene in the stadium, the rest of the movie was kind of garbage.
Right, and that plane scene in the stadium was actually from J.J. Abrams' script.
Right. So that didn't do anything. And then Man of Steel comes out, which, by the way, the beginning of it on Krypton, all I kept seeing is his father. He looked like Man-at-Arms from He-Man. So it kind of took me out of the movie there. Right. But even though they were going in a serious route, a darker route, and people were dying in the Superman movie, he didn't save everybody because he was fighting and stuff like that. And that got criticism because everyone's like, oh, he's too clean cut and whatever. I want to see some blood on his hand. Now you get it, and they're complaining about that.
I loved Man of Steel, and I defend that film to anyone who's like, all this, he didn't save anybody then. I'm like, guess what? He'd only been Superman for like one day.
Right.
And then he's Superman for one day. He just learns to fly, and then 100 other versions of him from Krypton show up, and they're all villains. They're from prison, and they're out there to get him and exact revenge on his father putting him in the Phantom Zone. So of course he doesn't know how to fight. He just we don't know what exactly happened when he was like getting trained, or he got the suit, when he was in the spaceship from his dad and stuff like that. But he obviously learned how to fight Zod. But like the way I look at it is like he's only been Superman for one day, but he's been on Earth for all this time, so he has already gained all this power that Zod and the other Kryptonians haven't soaked in yet. Like, remember, they keep showing Zod, and he's actually seeing through his own skin, like freaking out from the powers of our sun, going from the origins of Superman and whatnot. But I'm just saying, it's like, he's fighting Zod, and he's only been Superman for 1 or 2 days, and he's trying to contain this super villain, and of course they're flying through buildings, and it's like he can't save everybody because of this version of Superman. It's not the version where he's like, he's saving everybody. He did save a bunch of people in that movie, but I look at it that way. It's like if Zod said, it's either you or me.
Is Superman savable? Because now they're saying that because Man of Steel, and they already had this in plan, but they had to pair him with Batman. They had to put him with Justice League. He's not by himself for a while.
No, what happened is basically Superman has already been saved by doing Man of Steel. It was a big hit. They were going to do Man of Steel 2, and it's just because Zack Snyder, just in a recent interview, said, what if they were delivering a box of kryptonite to Bruce Wayne's manor? And that just opened up a can of worms, which actually was not a bad can of worms because it made what we're about to see happen, which is what almost every single superhero fan has always wanted to see, is Batman and Superman on the screen together.
Right.
And that's happening.
And the closest you got up until this point was when they put out the animated version of Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight Returns,
which was amazing.
And
they kept it in 1985.
So
President
perfect.
Reagan was there.
Jay Oliva is the director on that. He did a fantastic job because most of the DC animated movies have a little bit of a cheap big budget to like.
Right.
I, as an animation director, it bugs me when I see bad animation. So it's like at the very least, The Dark Knight Returns was really well executed, and he did a great job of like taking the smaller budget that they had and being able to be true, and they were able to break it into 2 movies. So I'm sure that helped them get a little bit more money. But it was really true and faithful to Frank Miller's comic book, and I loved it. And the additions, especially with him fighting Superman at the end, some of the additions of them going into the bigger battle that they made was great. So can Superman be saved? I think he is saved. Man of Steel 2 is going to come out. I think Batman v Superman is going to expand on the cinematic universe that DC established with Man of Steel, and we're going to get all these other brand new characters but told in that universe. And I think I'm excited. It's a different universe than Marvel's universe.
Well, check out the movie The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. John Schnepp, Holly Payne, thank you so much. It's out on video on demand right now, so go and there's no excuse.
You can find it at www.tdoslwh.com, and you can find us on Twitter, TDOSLWH. TDOSLWH is an anagram for The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, so just use every letter in the title of the movie.
Yeah, and if you go, you're truly supporting independent filmmakers. We made this through crowdfunding. We're trying to just recoup the money that we've actually spent. We're in debt. We owe people money. So if you're helping, go to www.tdoslwh.com, buy the Blu-ray or buy the Super Pack digital combo where you get 10 hours of additional material. If you like the movie, you're going to love this other 10 hours. It's just extended and expanded sequences, other people that we interviewed, different stuff. So it's just all based on the same stuff. The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. Enjoy Comic-Con.
Right on.
I'm no Superman.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
Back on the convention floor here at San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm at a booth that I am not a stranger to, and that would be Loot Crate. And joining me is Chris from Loot Crate. Chris, how are you?
Doing very well. Day 2.
How's Comic-Con been going for Loot Crate?
It's been awesome. This is our first big booth ever, and so we've done a couple exclusive crates and are trying to keep up with the madness.
So what's the theme here this year for San Diego Comic-Con? What are we doing?
So we're doing a creature-themed crate and a cosmic-themed crate. And so we have a $50 and $100 ultra-premium crates with all San Diego Comic-Con exclusive items in them as well.
Is that $100 one that big one that I see everybody that's peeking up, like people have those big Funko Pop bags and stuff like that, and it's the one peeking up on the top?
Yep. Yeah, it's probably 4 or 5 times bigger than a normal box.
I'm guessing it's worth $100.
I think it's already selling on eBay for $400. So
are you sold out?
We do an allotment every day. So we do.
What about for today?
Yeah, we sold out in a couple hours.
God damn it! I was going to ask for one. All right, never mind. So tell me about the $50 one that you got here that says Creature on it.
Creature. Yeah. So it's
and they're numbered too.
So these are all limited edition. We had 10,000 of the Creature and 2,000 of the Cosmic. This one has a wide array of things from Godzilla and some kaiju to Ghostbusters, Jurassic World, some DC stuff. So it's just the way we do curation. Like
Creatures.
Creatures, yeah.
Now the Cosmic box, which is I guess is sold out right now, but you'll have replenished as the days go by. What does that entail?
There's some really badass Star Wars stuff in there, and just general kind of sci-fi, cosmic items.
All right.
But I can't be too specific.
I know. That's the part of the fun and the frustration when dealing with blind boxes like Loot Crate here. So besides from the purchasing of this, and we right before we started, there was a lady here going completely nuts and sweating very hard about her love for Loot Crate. Do you find that you feel a lot of people are like that lady?
We have awesome fans and a really awesome community, and we've tried to make it, even an event like this, which is huge, we're really personal and open and friendly with everybody, and I think people love that about us. And we're probably doing 40 cons and events this year, and so we get to know everybody personally, which is rad. So yeah, that not everybody's that fired up, and we love to see that, but people generally know that we're excited to see them.
Now, I got to talk with everyone from Loot Crate at last year's New York Comic-Con, and the box was nowhere near as impressive as what you guys are doing this year. You've really stepped it up. Can we expect the same thing at New York?
Yeah, I think what we learned there was if you're going to do it, it's got to be the best. And so everything has to be exclusive. It's got to be just ridiculously cool.
Yeah, you just can't have the sticker on it.
Yeah, exactly. No, you can't. In that one, we had 2 or 3 exclusive items, but there were things in there that weren't. So I think when we do exclusive crates now, it's going to be 100%. Even the items themselves will be exclusive.
What else can you tell me about? Well, I also noticed you've got a pavilion here. It's not just like a booth or a setup. It's two-tier. You've got like a whole thing on the top here.
It's the world's largest loot crate. So it's a 2-story crate with a whole upstairs. We're doing a bunch of video production.
Is it all made out of the boxes?
Yeah, if only. Yeah, it's a little shaky for the cardboard. Yeah, this is. I have no idea how this was even put together, but it's freaking awesome to see for us. But yeah, so to give a little bit of description, it's a 2-story crate, and then on the bottom floor we have a bunch of TVs playing all of our theme videos from before and a bunch of unboxing videos. And then we've been doing the crate sales all day here and just kind of interacting and hanging out with folks. And then we have an off-site at Nerd HQ where we're doing kind of a Cylon target practice contest, which is going really well too.
Which is Zach Levi's thing.
Yeah.
That's a great partnership to have. The last box that you guys put out, I guess that's what she was talking about, the cyber thing being epic. But had the inclusion of Zach Levi's Nerd HQ stuff in there.
Yeah.
The Terminator head, which was amazing. A lot of great stuff in there.
Yeah, that was our lead creative came up with turning the box. We went with a full lithographic print and turning the box into like a full Terminator scene. And I think that when we saw the finished product, it was rad.
What can we expect as far as each month you're doing a different theme, and it's usually kind of tying into what's going to be big pop culture wise. Like when Game of Thrones was coming back, you had stuff with mythical creatures and things like that. Are you looking at something maybe Doctor Who wise when it comes back in the fall? What are we looking at for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so for the rest of the year, I think we're like with fantasy in April with Game of Thrones. We also did Princess Bride and some of those kind of older fun references alongside that kind of new what's interesting. So I think we'll keep that up. With Heroes coming out this month, we have a cadence that may be similar to last year with what comes next. And then we'll be there's a 30th anniversary for some big properties. So without being able to say anything, but we do know what huge movie is dropping in December. I'm guessing we might try to do some cool things around that. But yeah, I almost started to talk about our themes. You almost got me.
Now he's gripping my shoulder really tightly, so he's like, I can't tell you. I cannot stress what this is, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, thank you so much, Chris. Loot Crate, of course, go online, lootcrate.com to subscribe /OP, since you guys advertised with us. Definitely check out everything here. Since you can't be at the con, you can always see on eBay what people are really grossly, raping you on the price for to see all the cool stuff that Loot Crate has here, and you should have been here. But like you said, New York Comic Con is only in 3 months, about 3 months, so they're really stepping up their game to bring everything back to New York and to make everybody happy.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, let's go to break, and we'll be back with more of It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic Con.
Erik Nagel. E-Rock? Well, he'll be right back.
Actually, we're not gone. We're back here live at Loot Crate on the floor of San Diego Comic Con because it's time for a live read. And who is it from? Loot Crate.
Yeah.
How ironic is that?
I don't think we've ever done our own read. This is a very first Loot Crate live read.
Well, you're going to do it with me here. So I'm going to start off with this point. So it starts off with comic book superheroes, secret agents, fire-breathing dragons. If you're looking for that perfect gift for that geek in your life, or just want to treat yourself to something fun and exciting every single month, go to lootcrate.com. Yes, lootcrate.com is the ultimate monthly service for geeks, gamers, and pop culture fanatics.
Sign up today, and for less than $20 a month, Loot Crate will send you a specially themed mystery box filled with hand-picked apparel, collectibles, and licensed gear from all your favorite franchises like Marvel, The Walking Dead, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and more. Each month's box features a new theme inspired by movies, TV shows, and video games.
Well, this month's theme is Heroes, and coincidentally enough, there's a big Heroes Pavilion right outside of the Comic-Con here on NBC. So the theme is Heroes this month because when madmen are on the loose and evildoers plot to destroy the world, you can always count on superheroes to save the day. This month, get an amazing item... Try that again. This month, get amazing items from Zelda and Star Trek, as well as exclusive figures from DC Entertainment. That is awesome. Go to lootcrate.com/OP right now to sign up, and for a limited time, use the promo code OP at checkout to save $3 off any new subscription.
Go to lootcrate.com/OP now. That's lootcrate.com/OP. Thanks a lot, looters.
So this has been a first of Loot Crate doing their own live read, and you heard it here on the OP radio channel on It's Erik Nagel. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Back on the floor of San Diego Comic-Con 2015, my name is Erik Nagel. We're broadcasting from the NECA Toy Pavilion here on the floor of the San Diego Convention Center. We do have to thank those guys for giving us the space to do this. Coming up next on the program is Ron Perlman. Last time Ron was on this channel, he was promoting his book Easy Street, The Hard Way, a book by Ron Perlman, with the foreword by Guillermo del Toro. Definitely should go check that out if you haven't already. It's a good read. But of course you know Ron from projects like Hellboy, maybe Beauty and the Beast, maybe a little movie called Pacific Rim. This gentleman is just as intense in his acting roles as he is in real life. I got a chance to sit down with him and talk to him about his brand new show, Hand of God, and I was terrified. So let's go and talk to Ron Perlman.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
I'm here with Ron Perlman, and the last time we got to see you and hear from you was for your book, Easy Street. And now you're here with a brand new project for Amazon. It's not even Prime, it's just instant video. So if you don't have Prime, you can just get it right off instant video for Hand of God.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was Prime.
I thought so too, but I did some research, and you don't need to have the Prime in order to... you can just order it right off Amazon. You can stream it any way you can stream Amazon Instant Video. So if you don't have the Prime subscription, you should get it. But if you don't, you can still have access to it and watch Hand of God.
That's great news.
Hand of God is...
You want to buy my Prime subscription? I'll sell it to you $50.
Hand of God from... The pilot is available right now, and the show should be coming out in the early fall. You're a judge who was kind of corrupt, and now you think that God has touched you, and you're now doing God's work by some vigilante justice.
Well, you skipped a couple of beats in there. I mean, you know, the thing that brings me to God is I've just had this blow to my gut that is cataclysmic, and that's something that, for the first time in this guy's life, he doesn't have the resources to deal with, and so he is finally put in the position where he has to consider things he may never have considered before. Just so happens he gets lured into this fledgling little church by this preacher who at one point was a soap opera actor. So you can do the math and find out, you know, how savory this thing is. But our hero is in such a vulnerable state that he buys into it. And he gets baptized in his first visit there and leaves them with a $50,000 endowment. So they're going, we got to keep this guy fucked up, because the longer he needs us, the richer we get. And so this symbiotic sort of feeding off system takes place. But meanwhile, the stuff that the judge is getting out of this newly formed relationship with God is leading him to do certain things that are kind of twisted and very highly controversial, and scare the shit out of all the people who know and love and live off of him. And pretty much everyone in town lives off of him. I mean, he is the focal point. He is the straw that stirs the drink. Pretty much every street in San Vicente is either named after his grandfather or his great-grandfather. So he's the dude.
Very well connected and very well embedded in the city. So once your character has this moment and starts becoming a vigilante and taking things into his own hands, is he still working within the law and also outside of the law at the same time?
Oh no, he's completely gone rogue. He's living a virtual reality in his life that he's not practicing in his professional life. As a judge, he probably still operates the way he always operated. But then again, there was a lot of his own prejudices involved in him gaining the moniker Judge Maximum. I mean, you know, he's a guy who gets, who believes, I'm getting scumbags off the street, I don't give a shit how I got to do it. And so he's earned that nickname. But the stuff he starts doing that kind of result from the voices are way outside the realm of law and order. Way outside.
Does he have a weapon of choice?
A guy named KD as played by the great actor Garrett Dillahunt. KD, coincidentally, is also being saved right at this moment. KD has been in and out of prison his whole life. He's a sociopath. He's a very dangerous dude, very violent dude, and he also is trying to let God in so that he can finally get a hold of the evil side of him that he wants to squelch. So they meet each other in this environment, and the judge asks him to use this very unique skill set of his in the name of God. So now he's got KD thinking that maybe it was destiny that God gave me this skill set. Maybe I was always meant to be his soldier and do the things that other guys would never ever consider doing, and not quite as well as I could do them. So they form this very symbiotic, very unholy, holy union, and shit happens.
What is this character like to play? I mean, you've played some very iconic characters in the past. I didn't need to list, but for those, Hellboy, and of course, in Pacific Rim. Where does this character fare as far as your creativity that you get to put into it?
This is the big kahuna. This is the valedictory. This is a compendium of everything that I've always loved to play in a character, but a whole bunch of shit that I never had the balls to even go near, because the thing that scared me the most when I read it is I would have to go to places emotionally where I was no longer in control, where I would have to just strip myself of all control and hope and pray that I could touch those levels of sadness and depravity that that this tragedy of losing his son has touched off in him. And I've never been asked to play a guy who is as emotionally compromised and as emotionally vulnerable as the judge, and yet who in the same breath is the most powerful, charismatic guy you've ever met. So the combination of those two things is new ground for me. But the writing is such that it's done in such a classy, high-mannered way that it's worth taking the journey, because these are big issues. This is not sentimental shit. This is a man losing his heir, losing something he doesn't, all the skills in the world are never going to give him what he needs to undo this situation. And he's never been faced in a situation like this before, because he's that brilliant, and he's that powerful, and he's that smart. And this is the big equalizer. So Ben managed to find a way to take a man who has all this and fuck him over. What's the one thing that can do that? Like he said in the panel this morning, it's not global warming. It's not gay marriage. It's like, holy shit, I'm losing this thing. I didn't even know how precious he was to me until I'm losing him.
What you said there with going to some places that you were scared to never go as an actor, they give you the direction for this character, and they said they want you to go to some of these emotional states. When you're going to do that, how much freedom do you have as far as developing the character, not just how it's written, but for you to go into it, like, I think I can do it this way and I can get to this place here? Do they go, okay, you have, however you can get there is the way to do it? Or do they say they take you step by step through how to develop the character's emotional state in the process?
I think everybody just hopes and prays that we get to go home as early as possible. And that means, let's hope Ron has the solution to this, because I don't know what the fuck to tell him. I don't know how to tell him. He's losing his son, and he feels horrible about that, and he's now having a moment where he is in the depths of sadness over that. So they leave me alone, and they hope and pray that I get it, and it doesn't take 48 takes for me to have the tear roll down my eye. And that's part of what the dance has been this year, is to get this thing on film, on a TV schedule, which we're you got to be moving, You shoot TV way faster than you shoot movies. But you also want it to be honest and authentic and not, some sort of manipulation. So it's been one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have been involved in it and also to talk about it is because it's been the biggest test I've ever had, and I wasn't sure that I was up to it. I wasn't sure I was up to it because I've never had to do anything with this broader range of emotion.
This will be interesting to see, and I'm sure it's translating well because you've shot all the stuff and you've seen all the episodes from characters where you usually have you're very badass, very sly and cocky, and usually have the great lines before something big happens. And to go into this state where everybody who knows Ron Perlman and the characters you portray, like, okay, he's intimidating, he's a larger-than-life kind of guy, and then to see these breakdowns here, I think it's going to show really well throughout the whole series here. Like, this is a whole other side of Ron Perlman that I've never seen before.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, one of the things people dug about Clay Morrow on Sons of Anarchy was that he had buttons that were easily pressed, especially by Gemma, that made him, all that bravado completely melt and disappear. And that's what made him human. And that's why you could play a villain like that for 6 years and still have the audience kind of on your side. It didn't take place to the degree it does with Judge Harris, but I made note of the fact that people responded to that vulnerable side of Clay, particularly how devoted he was to this woman, and how she's the only one that could get him to break down. And he did, and at the end he lost everything because of her. But this one is like nonstop. This is a different kind of sorrow.
One last thing before we go here. You had referenced the panel earlier today. You said that you felt that you owed your fans, especially the ones of the Hellboy series, a proper ending to mock up a trilogy for this thing. Do you see this happening?
I don't think I would be still fighting for it unless there was a part of me that saw it happening. Don't get me wrong, I'm not encouraged. There's been nothing has happened that has encouraged me. But I know I still physically can do it, even though I'm in my mid-60s. And I know that there's an amazing story out there waiting to tell. And so what's stopping us? The circumstances are the only thing that's stopping us. The raising of the money and the finding time in everybody's schedule are the only thing that's stopping us. And I find those things to be rather surmountable. So as long as I still feel that way, I'm going to keep fighting for it because I think it's doable.
It's amazing, too. I mean, schedules aside, but as far as money and the interest to do it, we're in a time now where comic book superheroes have never been bigger. And, everybody's greenlighting every kind of project. You would think getting the third movie done would be a no-brainer.
I mean, yeah. Those are not the things I have answers to. For whatever reason, Hellboy gets made or doesn't get made, that's not up to me. All I can do is kind of be a voice for what I think is right in the situation. And I think we owe the fans a resolve to something that we asked them to invest their attention in twice. That was always meant to have a third act. We owe it to them. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not the guy that writes the check. I'm not the guy that gets 400 people to get their schedule to work right to make it happen. I'm not that guy. That's got to be somebody else has got to take over. But I'm the guy that's going to make some noise and go
and rally for it.
This is, hey, I'm down. I'm not thrilled with the idea of putting 5 hours worth of makeup on every day. But I'm down to give the fans this finale.
And speaking of finales, we are at the end of this interview here, but you're at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know if you had a chance to walk the floor or see all the merchants and the exhibits and whatnot, but if you have, great. But what is your favorite piece of merchandise involving you? Is it from Hellboy? Is it from Pacific Rim? Is it some of the Sons of Anarchy stuff?
People have created amazing sculptures about characters that I played. The most recent one was somebody did a Clay Morrow from Sons of Anarchy and gave it to me at a Comic-Con I was at a few weeks ago. And it was magnificent. I mean, hundreds of hours of work went into this. And that's kind of like trippy to know that somebody was that touched by something that you had something to do with, where they were willing to make that kind of an investment. But I've seen a lot of stuff. Probably Hellboy and Sons were the things that inspired people to do those things the most. Let's hope they'll be making Judge Pernell Harris dolls.
Let's hope you're getting a cut of it.
Yeah, well, I already got enough riches to, I'm good, man. There's a line in one of the episodes, Erykah Badu says to me, "How are you this morning?" And I say, "I'm better than I deserve." And that could have been written by me.
Well, there you have it. Ron Perlman, thank you so much. The show, Hand of God, Amazon, instant video. If you have the Prime, great, but if you don't have the Prime, you can still go and you can still download it, still stream it. Enjoy the show. The pilot is out right now, and the show comes out in the early fall. Thank you so much, Ron.
Pleasure.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
It's our buddy Randy from NECA Toys. Randy, how are you?
I'm good, Eric. Good to see you, man.
We're on the floor here. We're at the, are you officially a pavilion or are you an exhibit? Yeah, what is this?
An extravaganza, cavalcade, whatever.
Right. Well, you've got a big portion of the floor right here where we're at. Wall to wall, just display cases of all kinds of cool stuff, products that existed. We're right in front of the stuff that's brand new and exclusive for the con right now. What do we got here?
All right, we have a classic Planet of the Apes 3-pack that you can only get here, not available anywhere else. We have Rambo from The Force of Freedom, which was the Rambo cartoon in the 80s. So it's packaged just like the old toy packaging from 1986. We have a clear Ambush Predator,
which I think out of all of this here is probably the coolest thing that you have.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Clear figures are always cool, and then he's got like a vac metal electroplated mask, which is pretty neat, really stands out. We have a glow-in-the-dark endoskeleton from Terminator 2 based on an old Kenner toy.
Which is cool because it's half clear for the glow-in-the-dark and half metal.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of an homage or a nod back to a classic toy from '93. And then the hottest exclusive we have so far, Friday the 13th, 35th anniversary 2-pack with Pamela Voorhees and her son Jason from the very first Friday the 13th movie.
Now, just so you know, if you haven't gone to, it's NECAonline.com, right? If you haven't gone there to see what this figure is, Jason is not just your regular kid. It's like the kid was dead and they pulled him out of the ocean and threw a camp t-shirt on him.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Mongoloid Jason that's drowned and has the moss and swamp crap all over him. And, he has little swim shorts and a Camp Crystal Lake t-shirt that you can take on or off. And it's pretty sick. First time it's ever been done as an action figure after 35 years.
I don't think I've ever seen the actual figure of the child sold anywhere before.
Yeah, this is a first. Yeah.
So if you're a big horror fan, you definitely want to get for the, what was it, 35 years you said? 35th anniversary for Friday the 13th. The mom holding an axe, wearing a typical old mom sweater.
Yes. No mom jeans on her, but some little khakis or dickies or something she's got on there.
It's like something Aunt Jackie would wear in Roseanne.
Yes, very much.
With the flannel collar coming out the top. All these figures right now that we've just talked about, these exclusive things, it is Comic-Con weekend for San Diego, but if you go to NECAonline.com right now, you can actually purchase these items off the website since you're not here at the con.
That's right. Yeah, we set aside a select amount for people who can't travel to San Diego, can't make the convention, and they can purchase them through links on NECA Online, or they can go to our Facebook. The links are there as well. We put them up tonight when the show opens, so it's timed like, while the con's going on, It's like a flash sale. Here's your chance. If you're at home and you want this stuff, you can buy it. Only difference is you're paying shipping, but you don't have to leave the comfort of your house or your tablet and, order it on up.
to stand on lines like we're doing here, like a couple of schmucks trying to get everything, and then being told, oh, we're capping the line about 50 people ahead of you, so the line's closed.
Yeah, it's absurd. Like I said, I work in this business and I can't get half the crap I want. It's unbelievable.
Preview night, which is the Wednesday night before the con actually officially opens, and it allows people with special passes and permission to come in on the floor, buy exclusives, buy all kinds of cool stuff before it really starts getting busy. Funko, 30 minutes into the floor being open, closed and sent everybody away. They said there was a huge line. People were waiting online to buy this stuff. Said, we're closed for the night. We'll be open again tomorrow. Half an hour.
That's insane. I mean, you can't even get in the door into their booth in that amount of time.
Right. But you guys do this thing where you have the exclusives and you can sell it online. Why don't more companies do this?
I think some do. I don't know about them specifically. Some of them do. There is backlash, though. Like, we talked about it a little bit the last time I was on your show, on air, is that there's some fans that are like militant, that are like, if you're selling it at home and you can get it at other places besides the con, then it's not a con exclusive anymore. And it's like, well, no matter what, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You can't please everyone. Like, we take a small amount, a small percentage to offer up to the diehards that follow us on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and say, hey, I really want this, but I can't go. So it's like, okay, we'll put aside a few hundred that we put up during the show. Order it now. And they know. And we've got guys that year after year thank us. Hey, I could get it. At the same time, we've got guys that are like, this is bullshit. You shouldn't be selling it online. It's not a San Diego exclusive then if I can sit in my house and get it. So, I mean, maybe they, look more at that side of it. But I feel like no matter what, you're never going to please everyone. And if you had to cap your line 30 minutes into the show, that's bullshit too,
Is that a matter of your product is too popular and you don't have enough product to sell? Or is that just arrogance saying, well, we're going to close for now even though we got all this stuff and save the rest for tomorrow?
I mean, I do think a lot of companies create a false demand, and especially in terms of the lines and things that I want. I know, like Hasbro and Mattel, you have to wait on a line somewhere else to get a ticket or a pass that gives you permission to come back and wait on the other line. So it's like creating that sense of urgency or demand or supply versus demand that maybe or maybe doesn't exist as much as they want you to perceive it does. Because you can watch, we see some of these stock rooms where guys are walking out with bags full of stuff. So they've got the inventory. There's a good example.
I was just on, what were we on, the Mattel line? We were on the Mattel line looking for something for Matt's kid. And they were like, okay, they got it, we're online. And then, of course, they capped it off and said, oh, try again tomorrow. Here's a ticket. So if you come early enough, we'll try to get you in on the front of the line, which is bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's how they do it. It's gotten worse this year because certain retailers open up pop-up shops that are downtown. They get rent for like a week or something and open up a little shop. You can't walk into that shop off the street, though. You have to come here and win or find like a token that allows you permission to then enter that building to buy stuff. So you got to like hunt for something, go off-site to buy it.
I don't know what kind of atmosphere they're creating. I guess it's a fun treasure hunt or something for people who really are just coming here to enjoy the con and to buy things. But if you want a product bad enough, if you like the figures that these people are putting out, or artwork, or a T-shirt, or whatever it is, and have to go through all that bullshit just to get the permission to buy the thing, is it even worth it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why jump through all the hoops? Plus, you only have a certain amount of hours here. You want to see some of the programming. You want to walk around and see the vendors. You want to attend a panel. You can't waste all your freaking time standing in a line. We try to make it as easy for people as possible. In and out. Come here and get what you want to get. And again, the online option for those that are at home. So, I mean, we try to make it easy so you can enjoy your time at the convention, because who wants to waste all their time standing on a line?
Agreed. Now, before we go here, with your exclusive stuff, you have the stickers on them that say NECA NECA Convention Exclusive to 2015. Does it cost more to get the permission to get the yellow sticker that says San Diego Comic-Con on it, like some of these others who have the exclusives?
It doesn't cost more, and we've used that sticker in the past. It's the first year we haven't. You just have to get everything pre-approved by Comic-Con, the organization, first. But since our items technically aren't just being sold here, since we have that option to buy them online and stuff like that, we decided to just make it convention exclusive. And also, if we didn't sell out and we do another show, like say New York in October, whatever inventory or stock remains, we bring to New York. So it's not technically a San Diego exclusive anymore. It's also a New York. So it's kind of like blanket convention exclusive. But the way things are going, I don't think we're going to have anything left for October.
There's a certain company, I don't want to give their name out, but they make vinyl toys, and I do like to frequent their stores and what have you and buy their products. But they do the same thing. They'll have the tickets here, the stickers that say San Diego Comic-Con, and then in October when New York Comic-Con comes around, you still see those stickers on there, but they're saying, oh, it's the exclusive, but it says San Diego.
Yeah, see, that they shouldn't do, and San Diego really comes after people who do that. So if they knew of it or were aware of it, they would probably, hear from San Diego about using their trademarks and their logos at certainly a show that's not San Diego organized or sponsored or anything like that.
Right. Well, thus why I didn't give out the name, because I still would like to buy the product. These are the exclusives. Go to NECAonline.com. You can buy this stuff throughout the course of the convention. You're also hearing it here on the radio, so if you're here in San Diego, come over to the NECA Pavilion here and pick some of these things up. Like I told you, the Ambush Predator, it's clear, but with the metal weapons and the metal mask is amazing. The Pamela Voorhees with Jason as a little mongoloid kid, but with a fresh, crisp Camp Crystal Lake t-shirt. You can definitely get that as well. Randy, before we go, what do you have coming in the future outside of the exclusives?
We have some pretty good licensing announcements that we talked about a little on your show. We're doing Hateful Eight with Quentin Tarantino at Christmas, which is going to be amazing. Announcing for the first time here, we have the license for Ash versus the Evil Dead, which is a new TV series with Bruce Campbell. Starts around Halloween time on Starz. We're going to be doing that. And we have a whole bunch of really cool video game figures that unfortunately I can't disclose yet, but it's some really classic 80s stuff, some of the best games we all played growing up that I hope we'll reveal soon and maybe be back on the show to talk about, and maybe we'll give away some of the very first samples on your show.
I'm going to take a guess. Is it Bubble Bobble?
It is not Bubble Bobble.
All right, then I'm out of guesses. Randy, as always, thank you so much for coming on. You've always been very cool to the show. We love talking to you. NECAonline.com. Go to the website. You can buy the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives while they're here on the website there. But then as of Monday, they're gone. You can't buy them anymore. If you're here in San Diego, definitely stop by the NECA Pavilion and get it. Randy, thank you so much, man.
Thank you for coming by. Always a pleasure.
It's San Diego Comic-Con 2015 at the San Diego Convention Center, of course, in San Diego, California. My name is Erik Nagel. The show is It's Erik Nagel. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Facebook at It's Erik Nagel. We've been putting up a lot of photos of events and stuff that's been going on throughout the con. Adult Swim has some factions here. FX has an arena for all their brand new stuff. What else did we cover here? So much stuff. All the attractions on the floor. Batman vs. Superman. Walking Dead, of course. Fargo. There's a human snow globe for Fargo where you can go in and it's snowing. There's a dead body, a dilapidated house, and you can take your photos in there. It's kind of cool. Whole bunch of stuff. Go to Twitter and Facebook at It's Erik Nagel and follow along. Moving on with our Comic-Con coverage, we're going to go to the House of Blues, which is several blocks away from the actual convention floor, and we're going to go there to talk to the cast and crew of Orphan Black on BBC America here in the United States and BBC outlets throughout the world. Orphan Black, if you're not familiar with it, it's about a girl who discovers that she has what she thought was a sister, like a twin sister that she didn't know about, and it turns out she's a clone. She has many clones. And as seasons have gone on, there's male clones. There's a whole conspiracy of people trying to create these people to use as weapons. And there's just a lot to get into. You need to watch it. A lot of it is on demand and on Netflix. Season 3 is currently on demand. The DVD comes out in August. And Season 4 for Orphan Black comes out in 2016. So let's go to the House of Blues and talk to everybody from the cast of Orphan Black. San Diego Comic-Con, and we're here for the press line for one of the probably the biggest shows to come out of BBC America, Orphan Black. I'm here with the creators, John Fawcett and Graham Mason. Hi, guys. How are you?
How are you? We're great, Eric.
Hey. Before we get into Orphan Black, I just want to say, huge Cube fan.
Cube. Okay, cool.
It was one of those movies that was, I think it was on late on the movie channel when I was younger, and I'm like, what is this? And I got fascinated by it, and then there's sequels to it and everything like that, but I was so obsessed with this movie, and until it finally came out in a way you could purchase it, I used to tell all my friends, and nobody either believed me or knew what the hell I was talking about.
That's great. I'm glad you managed to find it on, like, late-night TV.
Is it amazing that people still, to this day, have such a cult feeling for that movie?
Yeah, certainly, like, it spawned a couple sequels, and the people still love it. And we're still buddies with Vincenzo Natali, who directed an episode of Orphan Black for us this year.
I think, in fact, that's how you and I wound up meeting. because I knew Vincenzo because he'd been doing storyboards for me, and then I think it was kind of through Vincenzo that we ended
through
up.
Vincenzo and Karen Walton, another writer on Orphan Black.
Last question about it. Any more in the future, maybe?
Cubes?
For the cubes.
I don't think so, no.
Aren't they making a new cube now?
I heard someone was remaking it, but we're like out of the loop. Yeah.
That sucks.
And it was nice because Vincenzo actually directed an episode for us in season 3, so
it all just comes full circle.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, he directed episode 9, so...
Well, let's get into why we're all here for Orphan Black. Third season has just come and gone here. Amazing. So just when you think you couldn't top what you were doing in the previous season, or even in the beginning of the current season, you go, oh my God, it's almost like they're purposely trying to mess it up, but then way down the line, it circles back and you're like, okay, now I see how everything ties in.
Yeah, we like to circle back on ourselves, and like nobody's ever going to accuse Orphan Black of not going for it, that's for sure.
Well, at least all right, a spoiler, with the exception of one person this season, at least you're not doing the Game of Thrones route where you're killing off main characters as each season goes by.
That would be hard on everybody. I don't think, if it ever comes down to it, like, John and I will be like, we have to like do something drastic and kill a main character. Then I'm like, well, let's kill Allison. And he gets all angry and he's like, no, we're going to kill Cosima. And we threaten to kill each other's favorite clones, and then we just drop it.
You can't kill Allison. You just made all these shirts.
No, she's dead. She's going. She's gone.
Yeah, then it's Cosima. Cosima's going to die. Let's kill them both.
Okay, well, yeah, just wipe them both out. Yeah.
Also, while season 3 was going on, the great news for the fans that season 4 got announced.
Awesome. Yeah, we are doing season 4. We're already in the writers' room. We've been with the writers for about 6 weeks.
Yeah. Graham and I got the news back in April.
It's about in April, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And then we started working on. We'd already started on season 4. Started between us.
Well, announcing that and getting that news during the current season is very un-BBC, because they like to wait till the season's done, drag things out as long as they can, and then go, oh, yes, there's going to be another season, and everybody gets all nuts and crazy.
Great vote of confidence. I think we got the word at episode 4 this year. Yep. That's fantastic. That's what you want as a creator to kind of lets the pressure off, opens your mind up for the next season, and we just got working right away.
Now, as being the creators of this show, you obviously want your project to succeed, and you want to go as far as you can with it. But like, say in the case of Lost, where you found out later on that they went too long as far as their seasons went, and they realized that they didn't know how to wrap everything up and where to go with it, and they admitted that we only had an image for like maybe the first handful of seasons there. Where did you see Orphan Black going? If you had the opportunity, which you do have now, you're going into season 4, how long did you see Orphan Black going, and how far?
Well, we always had an endpoint, and we kind of made sure that endpoint was a bit elastic, right, John?
I think so. I mean, you just don't know. You don't know how long your show's going to go. We knew what we wanted to do at the end of our show. We knew we had large tentpole ideas about how the seasons would look to get there, or the events that needed to occur to get to that end point.
So you guys have already in your head where this season, the series is going to end?
Yeah.
No, that's great to know. That's very confident.
Yeah, oh yeah. We know we're excited. Like, we want the show to go as long as it can, but we're excited about how our end game, put it that way.
And for the record, I loved Lost, and I didn't care if people were confused, and I thought everybody was complaining over nothing, and I was like, so you don't really know what's going on? Who cares? It's great.
Yeah.
I don't mind a mystery. I don't mind being a little bit lost while I'm watching things, and Lost I totally loved, and so did Dylan Bruce. It's his favorite show ever.
But I do think though that with us, what we try to do that's a little bit different than Lost is we try to give more answers generally than I think Lost was kind of just asking more questions than it was ever giving answers.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
And I think that watching our show, I think that it's more satisfying because you're figuring things out a little quicker, and But when you figure some part of it out, you get another question.
Get another question. Yeah.
Well, Vince Gilligan said, as Breaking Bad was starting to explode, that he had the ending in his head already. Does that make it easier for you, even though you want to go as long as possible, but does that make it easier for writing because you know where the end game is, so you're not going all over the place like, oh, no, that doesn't make sense to bring it back to this point here. I know where the ending is. We can just plow all the way through.
Yeah, I think it does help you shape it, of course, where you're going. You still have to break it down season by season, and you still have the myriad of story challenges you have on any television show. You know.
Yeah, it's a complicated show to create and write and keep all the puzzle pieces together and schedule and shoot, because it's it's one girl playing a whole bunch of parts. It's insane.
Really, really bad idea for a TV show.
Last question with you guys. As Orphan Black has grown, merchandising has gotten bigger, and more things are coming out, more unique stuff. There's Funko Pop figures, which are you see everywhere. People have those. Now there's T-shirts and all these other things. Like, how do you feel as far as merchandising your project here? Because some people don't like it when it's too over merchandised. Some people like, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, so far, it's just a really cool opportunity for us to see the show kind of expand, and we got to do a comic book series, which is like one of John's dreams.
Comic book series and a board game.
Yeah,
come on, that's pretty good. And Funko figures, and some clothes. We had a great clothing line with through Hot Topic, and they love the show, and so far, it's just been really exciting. I don't feel like it's. We're just we're a smaller show right at the moment, and any kind of amount of promotion that we can get to involve the fans and keep everyone kind of on the Orphan Black bandwagon, we love right now. I think it's great.
Well, good. Orphan Black Season 3 is done. It's on demand. When is the DVD coming out for that? Any idea?
I don't know.
August? It's coming out in August.
All right, there you go.
Good.
And then Season 4, 2016. Can't wait for that. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Cool. Thanks, Eric.
Continuing on here at San Diego Comic-Con with the Orphan Black press junket. This is an amazing opportunity. We're going to talk to Mark, Rudy, Seth, Miller, and Parsons all at the same time as we say hi to Ari Millen. How are you?
Not bad. How about you?
So you're the male clone for every male clone on the show.
Excluding Tony.
Yeah. So what was, when you got this part, what were you thinking you were going to be involved with?
When I got cast as Mark first, and it was the second season, so I'd already watched the first, and I was already a really big fan, so all I was thinking, I was like, holy crap, I'm on a show that I'm really excited about and that I'm a fan of, and I can't wait to meet Helena, because she was my favorite clone and scared the crap out of me.
By the way, if you haven't seen all the fans outside, most of them are dressed to her.
Really? Great. Can't wait.
Terrifying.
Very. And that was my first experience. She was coming down the stairs. Tat was coming down the stairs, but in costume as Helena. And it was, because still get chills. Right. I didn't know. Like, I knew I was going to die in episode 6. So I was just enjoying the ride as it went, and this is going to be great. And then I wasn't dead, and then I got a phone call from Graham very late in the season saying, this is what we want to do with you. How do you feel about that? So it's been a whirlwind ever since.
Did it once go through your head where you see the amount of work Tatiana goes through and you go, oh, I'm playing like 8 different guys?
It's probably because of that, because of the understanding of the amount of work and dedication and concentration that it takes. It's been the most exhilarating experience of my acting career, probably, that I'll ever have. Just because it's so important to want to do your best to do a great job and do what these two gentlemen here they tell their story properly. But certainly working with the cast and crew that we have, probably the best combination of everyone together. Everyone comes together, they love what they're doing, and it never feels like work. So, and getting to work opposite Tat so often, it certainly made it a lot easier.
Well, season 3 has come and gone. There's really no spoilers, especially if you're at Comic-Con. Everyone's been talking about who's dead, who's still alive, what's going to happen, and then the news in the middle of the season, which is not very BBC-like, to announce that season 4 is happening while the current season's going on.
Oh yeah, no, it's a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling, but. I mean, I know nothing. I mean, like, if you find out anything, let me know.
You're part of it.
I know that. I do know that Mark will be returning, and but you never know. It's a clone show, you know.
For those who don't know or aren't too familiar with Orphan Black, the original premise was that there was this girl who found out that she thought she maybe had sisters, and they turned out to be clones, and there's this whole conspiracy, and it was growing larger and larger. Now they threw in another part of it where there's a male clone division, Project Castor, right? Can you explain a little bit about that, and what is the default? What is the defect in the male clones that they're trying to weaponize?
Oh, well, there's the male clones have a defect, but they also have a genetic weapon that they've just discovered. So the genetic defect is that they're something with when they got cloned, their brain started degenerating, and it's so throughout season 3 they've been trying to, through Lita, find a cure, but their sort of genetic weapon that they've been programmed to have is that they sterilize women when they sleep with them. So it's deep stuff. It's
almost like reverse species.
Exactly. I mean, and I think that will certainly be touched on in season 4, and I think certainly with Neolution we'll start to find out that they're really bad, and they've got really bad designs on what they want to do. So I would imagine that weapon is all wrapped up in Neolution conspiracy.
Now, with the success of Orphan Black and the fact that it's growing worldwide, there are men and women who watch the show, but it's the females who seem to be more vocal, at least at conventions and online, about their fandom for this show. What have been your experiences involving the Clone Club?
Probably the most supportive and incredible group of individuals a show could ever hope for. From the fan art to just the positive, like, reinforcement of we love you, can't wait for this, can't wait for that. Great show last week. It makes you feel good. It makes it warm and fuzzy, really warm and fuzzy.
Do you ever get your share of some of those who can't really separate the line between liking the show, where they're yelling at you like, I hate you, you're trying to kill them, you're such a dick?
I got a lot of I love to hate Rudy. I really didn't want to like you, but you won me over.
Thanks, Mom.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Mom. For the most part, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's some bad stuff out there, but you don't go looking for it.
Do you get to renegotiate now that there's a season 4?
They actually preempted for season 2. They I was a day player before, and then they optioned me going into season 3. So.
Well, I was going to say, if you have a chance to have any kind of pull in season 4, you got to get your own action figure.
That would be pretty cool.
You know, Funko's got the line going. You just got to make a phone call.
Speaking of Clone Club, there's a woman out there who takes the Funkos and then creates. So I've seen a Parsons. I've seen, like, she's made the brain and everything. It's like she, like, customizes them. So it's like, Clone Club's awesome.
Well, get your own official one.
Okay.
Make your mom proud.
Can we do that? Getting the thumbs up.
All right. Thank you so much. The DVD comes out in August, and then season 4 in 2016. I look forward to it.
Thanks, man.
Hanging out at the House of Blues in San Diego for the San Diego Comic-Con, just listening to some Backstreet Boys as we hang out with Jordan Gavaris. You know him as Felix from Orphan Black. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm so happy to meet you. You're one of my favorite characters on the show, and you're probably the only guy that is unanimously not hated by anybody in the Clone Club.
Which is so funny, because I think the reception to him initially was a little bit like, whoa, my God, this guy is so weird. But then about 3 or 4 episodes in, everybody couldn't. He's just too funny and sweet. How can you not love him?
I initially thought in the early episodes with the character, I thought that he was like a like a leech, like a hanger-on kind of thing, but it really is like he has his own world, and he's not looking for anybody or a handout or anything.
No, if anything, everybody's hanging on to him.
Right. That's what I was going to say. He wants everyone to leave him alone.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe you need to move.
Maybe I need to get a lock on my door. Maybe I need to stop locking it with a screwdriver.
Right. Well, everybody knows you're there, so you need to find a different loft and just not tell them.
It's true. I feel like we could probably use an upgrade. Maybe he can consolidate, sell some of his furniture, and put it toward a really nice, like, much smaller loft somewhere with a locking door, and nobody knows his address.
How long did you have to practice for the cadence, for the dialogue, to do Felix?
It was about 3 weeks of prep, and it wasn't every day. I would just listen. I listened to a lot of videos online. I drew inspiration from Lily Allen. She has a South Londoner's syntax, and just her sense of humor too is a bit cheeky. And Felix is cheeky, so it's not just about adopting the accent, but it's also about adopting the culture. And the Brits have a very interesting sense of humor. It's very different than Americans. And if you were to write a cultural British humor and speak it with an American accent, it probably wouldn't be very funny. Right. Because it's so much about its delivery as well.
Well, he also can say more by stretching a vowel than actually getting his point across. He'll just sit there and go, yeah. And then everyone's just looking at him like, all right, he's pissed at us.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to admit, I was a little surprised when you walked in here. The luster of the show and what have you, you're thinking that, all right, he's going to look like his character, and you look nothing like your character. Well, you're you, but you don't look as exactly like Felix. Does that throw off a lot of the fans when they actually get a chance to meet you?
I think sometimes it does. I get a bit of a confused reaction from people, but it's great for me because I live in LA and I live in total anonymity. I've maybe been picked out of a crowd twice, and it's a little different at Comic-Con because people are here for the show and they're looking for us, so they're a little more apt to point us out or stop us on the street. But that doesn't happen to me in real life. Outside of the con, that doesn't happen to me very often.
Well, that's not really a curse. You could walk through. I mean, especially with the shirt you're wearing, you look like one of the sons from Home Improvement. So they're like, oh, that's just him.
I have been mistaken for Jonathan Taylor Thomas many times.
Season 3 just wrapped up. Season 4 was announced in the middle of the season. I've been talking to everybody about this. Very un-BBC like to do that. They like to end a show, let it stretch out, and you don't know if it's coming back. You don't know if everybody's coming back on the show. And they said, nope, right in the middle. It's coming back 2016. DVD's out in August. What were your reactions I think they said by episode 4 you guys found out?
Oh, I thought it was great. I had a feeling we were going to be renewed because the show is, in the first couple of seasons it's always touch or go, but by the third season when you start to, the whole ratings system, Nielsen, is dead. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. They're just not willing to admit it yet. Nobody watches television live anymore, and our DVR numbers are through the roof.
Well, I do DVR Season 3, and look, it's already ruined for me because I'm here at Comic-Con, and I'm only a few episodes shy of finishing Season 3. So now I'm just going to go home like, all right, I kind of got the gist of everything. But people still do DVR it because they want the current stuff.
Exactly. They do DVR, and they watch within the 3-day period, which does help the network. So I think, again, by Season 3, we kind of figure, it's going, and the train's still moving. Clone Club is still growing. So I think that I was really excited to know that I still had a job and that I got another crack at, more than that though, that I got another crack at developing this character and deepening him in a way that I haven't yet figured out, in exploring another side of him that I haven't yet explored. And I think that I'm very glad that they announced it, mid-season instead of giving us all panic attacks in July.
Well, I'm running out of time with you, but I've been asking everybody this. Merchandising for the show has actually grown. Where's the Felix figure?
Felix figure should be released now. I know there's a Funko one, and I know he's nude. He's just in a painter's apron, and his little bum is exposed. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Do you have one yet?
I don't. I plan on giving one to... I don't know. I can't. I don't own any merchandise of myself.
Especially that figure, you need to get as many of them as you can and give it to your entire family and friends for Christmas.
I'll stuff it in a stocking. It's small enough.
Make your mom so proud.
That or deeply ashamed. Yeah.
Ashamed, but it's still going to be up on the mantle as she brags to all her friends.
That's very true.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Like we said, season 4 in 2016, DVD in August. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Moving along at the Orphan Black event here at the House of Blues for San Diego Comic-Con 2015. I'm joined by, let me make sure I get your last name right. It's Christian Brune?
Brune. Like prune with a B.
All right.
Yeah.
And you're sweating just like I am.
Yeah, I'm catching my breath because I just got off stage from twerking with Allison cosplay lookalikes. The winner of like the Allison cosplay contest. So as the prize, they got to twerk with me, and I twerked with all of them, and I'm now still just sweating and catching my breath.
The things they make you do for this show.
Oh my God, I will never live down that twerking scene.
Well,
it's so much fun, so it doesn't matter.
So they don't have 8 roles for you, so they said you're going to twerk at all these events.
Yeah, exactly. I've done a lot of twerking this whole weekend. I feel like I've had a good workout every day.
Nobody gets an easy role on this show.
Nobody. No. They keep us on our toes. That's the way we like it.
For those who don't know, you play Donnie, Allison's husband, and it's amazing to see the evolution of Donnie going from what we thought was clueless to being kind of a douchebag and aggressive to falling back to being clueless again, and then now he's all on board with everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's part of the family again. Their marriage between Allison and Donnie has been so rekindled, and now he's part of Clone Club. He's sort of welcomed a lot of the Sestras into the Hendricks family as well, especially Helena. And that's been such a fun journey to do, is just getting to work with other versions of Tatiana.
One of the best scenes is the expression on your face. I think it was in the rehab facility when you walk into the room and you see 2 of them, and you're not even shocked. You're just kind of like, I got to fucking deal with 2 of them.
Yeah, Donnie, to keep in mind, like, the last 3 seasons have only taken place in the storyline, like, over 3 to 6 months. So just the amount of change that has happened in Donnie's life in the last, few months is just astronomical. So he's been on a roller coaster ride. Everybody on the show has been. It's insane.
Well, I think more for your character, after being smacked in the face with a golf club, thrown down the stairs, and tortured with a hot glue gun, that'll change anybody.
Yeah, that really leaves a bunch of scars, both physical and mental.
I'll have to say, it's a very enjoyable scene. Obviously, stunt doubles doing...
I took the golf club to the face. We had a stunt double to go get flung down the stairs, and then I took the hot glue, and I also got to shoot Dr. Leakey, which was fun. Yeah, they let me do some fun stunts every once in a while, which is great. The fight scene between myself and Jason Kellerman, played by Justin Chatwin, that was fun. That was a choreographed fight, and it was quick. He dropped me pretty fast, but I got a good slap in there at least.
The car scene, you've got to forgive me, the gentleman who played the doctor.
Matt Frewer.
Matt Frewer. I keep calling him Lawnmower Man.
yeah, exactly.
Or the guy from The Stand. But you're in the car, and he's sick of you. He's tired of you, of your whiny nonsense. He's like, we're going to do this with or without you. And he's just like, whatever, Donnie. And you're like, I got a gun. I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to do this. Doesn't believe you. And then he talks you out of it. And
then I put the gun down. I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not me. And
in a split second, it's like you don't. I guess that's normally what would happen with anybody in that situation. You don't realize what happened, even though you're looking at it hasn't hit you yet. A couple seconds later, you start going.
Yeah, it was fun because we only had one take to shoot that. It was like at the end of a Friday night of filming, and it was like already past midnight, and they had set it up to do it 3 times to like clean the car, get all the brain out of everything, the blood off everything. But it takes like a long time to clean a car of all that goop. And by the time we got to the scene, Ken Girardi, who was directing the episode, he was like, listen, bud, we only have time for 1 of these, so don't mess up.
It's like when they're imploding a building or blowing up a car.
Yeah, exactly. It was the same situation, and it was a little scary, that's for sure. And we had a guy hiding behind the passenger seat with a goop gun, ready to spray me in the face with blood and brain. And another gun spraying the car, a stunt guy taking the shot to the face, and me smacking the gun on the steering wheel. So like everything had to be timed between the 3 of us just right to hit that moment. And luckily it went off with a bang.
Did they pun?
Stupid pun.
Did you practice with when you were trying to get that scene down? Did you practice with like water or something?
No, nothing. I wanted to improv that. I didn't want to practice the reactions. I didn't want to practice the timing. It was more just like in the excitement of the moment. That's usually when you find the best stuff, and you don't want to kill it dead by just rehearsing the hell out of it. So I wanted to keep it as fresh as possible, and we just went for it. It was kind of risky. It's a bit of a gutsy move on it's like actually Saturday morning at like 1 a.m. by the time we get to do it, and luckily it worked out.
Do you think in season 4 we'll get to explore more of Donnie's porn collection?
I think he's just a fan of the whole Big Boob Blowies line, 1 through 74. Great series.
Talk about Dean being loyal and dedicated to a series.
Yeah. Much like Clone Club is to Orphan Black, Donnie is so dedicated to his porn collection. I think he's gotten rid of the porn collection. I think now that his marriage is back on track, he's pretty happy. He doesn't need porn.
With the Clone Club, obviously the reactions to everybody involved with this show, they're in love with everything. Have you ever gotten any kind of negative reaction from the Clone Club where some people can't separate the show from their life? Like, we hate you, you put her in rehab.
It was at the end of season 1. I got it a few times because at the end of season 1 I was revealed to be her monitor the whole time, and every once in a while I would meet someone on the street or in a store and they'd be like, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? And they'd stare at me and all of a sudden they'd just go, you bastard. Which always kind of threw me for a loop. But now that Donnie's a good guy, I don't get that too much, so it's all right. Yeah.
What do you expect from Donnie in season 4? Do you have any ideas? Not as far as what they're writing, but where you want to go with it.
I would love to see Donnie spend more time with the other clones to really get to know the other Sestras. I definitely want to see more Donnie and Helena because that was just so much fun to play, and those two characters are just so ridiculous. I would love some time with Felix as well and just explore that relationship. We've only seen each other a couple times over the course of the 3 seasons, but there's stuff that can be mined there, I think. So
I don't think Felix is your type.
No, but
or you're his type.
But that's what makes it the best is like get odd couples together, these odd pairings. Like Donnie and Helena at first were just so like, what the hell's going on? And then they really bonded.
Anytime Felix has been in a scene and you were in the room, he always caught the glance that he gives you is like when a teenager has their friends around and they're looking at Dad and like, oh, Dad, you're just embarrassing. Leave me alone.
I am a total embarrassment to Felix. It's great. I love it.
All right, thank you, Christian, so much. Season 4 starts in 2016, which is great news. We found that out, and the DVD comes out in August.
Yeah, and we get back to work end of September, so we're all chomping at the bits to start filming, especially after seeing all the madness here in San Diego.
I want to see a Donnie figure in a tracksuit.
Yes, or just tidy blueies.
Or the variants that's like maybe the Con Collective, him in the car covered in blood.
That would be awesome. I would love that. That'd be great.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Walking around on the Comic-Con floor here, you never know what worlds are going to collide and what you're going to see. And as I'm walking around here, I look up and there's a rather large gentleman dressed as the Predator, and I look, and it's Dwight Howard. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm happy to be here. This is an amazing time, just to get away from everything and come and enjoy yourself.
I gotta say, I love the outfit choice that you made, but 2, that you're cool enough to walk around and like, look, I love this stuff. I don't care who knows it. Because a lot of basketball players try to hold up a certain image, but you're showing that, this is kind of cool. This is what I'm into, and I'm gonna walk the floor.
It is cool. I mean, this is an opportunity where we can get away from just being a basketball player and just be whoever we want to be. So, why not have fun? This is our life. For 9 months out the year, we're playing basketball and we're really intense. So, during the summertime, we got to enjoy our lives.
Right. You were in one booth here where you're looking at a bunch of collectible signed stuff and what have you, and I saw you eyeing the hoverboard from Back to the Future, but it says sold out. Yeah. Is there anything you can possibly do to make that yours?
He's making me one. He's making me one. Somebody had already bought it, so they enjoy movies just like I do, and that's why I'm here in this booth, just getting a lot of things that I enjoy watching. I'm a big Batman fan, love Marty McFly, and actually the shoes that are there, I got them for one of my teammates a couple of years ago. So even though I can't wear them, it'd be good to have them in my movie room.
How mad would you be that you just said you bought that for one of your teammates and then you go out on the court one game and he's wearing those shoes?
I wouldn't be upset. I paid a lot of money for it, but at the same time, it was a gift for him because he really liked those shoes. So, It'd be crazy to see it, though.
I would have been like, man, you know how much those cost? Those are a collectible, and you're ruining them.
He wouldn't wear them. I talked to him the other day. He said he still got them in the box that I got them in. He hasn't touched them. He's wiped them off a little bit just to make sure it doesn't get dusty, but he hasn't done anything crazy with them.
What are you doing for the rest of Comic-Con here?
Rest of Comic-Con, I'm just going to enjoy myself, walk around, take pictures, act like the Predator.
Is it weird if you go to a booth and you see collectibles that are you?
It is weird. I think the weirdest thing that has happened was last Comic-Con. I was walking around as myself, and a kid asked me, why am I playing Dwight Howard? So that was kind of weird to see.
Shut up, kid.
I just laughed it off, but it was funny.
Dwight, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much, man. Enjoy Comic-Con.
Thank you so much.
Back on the floor of San Diego Comic-Con 2015. My name is Erik Nagel. It is the It's Erik Nagel Show, and it's been pretty cool to be on here on the floor here. We're at the NECA Toy Pavilion, smack dab in the center of everything going on here on the floor of the San Diego Convention Center. Thousands of people. It's hot as hell. Some areas really smell because people, I guess, just have BO problems or not really showering. But hey, that's what a convention is, and that's con life. So if you come down to these things, that's what you get to expect. Especially if you're wearing a really elaborate costume that doesn't ventilate very well. A lot of people in vinyl, a lot of people in spandex, a lot of people in leather. It cannot be pleasant for these people, and I don't know why they put themselves through this hell, but they do. For your entertainment, so that you'll stop them and take photos, and for one brief shining moment, they feel like a celebrity. I guess that's what Comic-Con's all about. To come down here, to dress up and pretend to be somebody that you're not, to feel better about yourself and your life. Moving on next to the movie Vintage Tomorrows, we're going to speak to director Bird McDonald. Bird did this movie. It's about the steampunk culture that's on the rise in the United States and all over the world as well. Steampunk, he'll explain a little bit more in depth as to what that involves. But to give you a quick example, the end of Back to the Future 3, when Doc Brown returns with the train, and they're all dressed in like 1800s clothing, but the train can transform, it can fly, it can time travel. That's steampunk style stuff. So he did a whole documentary on this big uprising in counterculture and now invading Comic-Con and all walks of life. So we're going to talk to Bird McDonald right now. Vintage Tomorrows. What the hell is steampunk? We'll find out right now.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
We might have to step down when she comes to take our order. What do you want?
Oh, we could do it on there. I just want a nice tea when she comes around.
Want an Arnold Palmer?
That's exactly what I want
too.
See, I knew I liked you, Bird.
Yeah.
And this interview is going to be off to a great start. I'm talking with director Bird McDonald, and one of the fun things about San Diego Comic-Con is that you can do interviews anywhere. It's not just in a studio. It's not just at a booth. And this poor lady just had money go flying all over the place. Go pick up some hundreds there. You're poolside, you're in a hotel room, you're out by the bay like we are. We're at this restaurant right here, and we're here to talk about your movie Vintage Tomorrows.
Nice to have me on the show. That's
yes.
Let me try that again. Thanks for having me on the show, sir.
No problem.
Yeah.
Tell me about Vintage Tomorrows.
Vintage Tomorrows is a documentary about steampunk. Are you familiar with steampunk?
I'm very familiar with steampunk, and I do have a lot of steampunk questions for you.
Oh, okay. Do our audience need a working definition of what steampunk is?
It's a mixed bag, so maybe we should explain.
So steampunk, if you ask 10 steampunks to define it, you're going to get 10 different answers. But my go-to is steampunk is a literary and aesthetic movement fascinated with Victorian England, fascinated with technology, looking to create stories and create objects that are inspired by Victoriana, and to create stories and write stories and tell stories based in that time period with anachronistic technology that probably could not have existed at that time.
Right. So for those who need a more of a visual other than watching Vintage Tomorrows, say if you watched Firefly or Back to the Future 3, when he comes back with the train, how they're all dressed up, but the train has futuristic technology to time travel and fly and all that stuff. That falls into the steampunk genre there.
Wild Wild West is another example that I think is a quick read for people. Yeah.
Who are you going to call? The steampunk movement also has gotten so big that there's actual conventions now for this thing. My co-host Matt, who couldn't be here, is really big into steampunk. In fact, he just went to a big steampunk convention that was down near Philly in New Jersey there. And people are dressing the part, people are selling their wares, stuff crafted out of iron and steel, but then maybe has like an iPad thing built into it, or a television, those kind of things. So it's a meeting of old technology with futuristic technology.
That's you're doing a better job defining that than I am. Thank you very much.
What is the obsession? Like, where did this come from?
It's all indications seem to lead back to it being, starting as a literary subgenre. It starts with books that were being written in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, you can go way far back to, Jules Verne and anything that he wrote. If he wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea today, that would be, the new quintessential steampunk book. But back then, they didn't know what they were doing. I mean, they weren't playing with the past because they were living in the past.
Right.
So the book that really is credited as being the first true steampunk book is a book called The Difference Engine by William Gibson and Bruce Sterling, and that's 1992. The word is actually coined in 1987 in an issue of Locus magazine. So it had this moment that it kind of starts in the late 80s, early 90s, and then it just sort of dipped away again. It became like, a little bit of a relic or, a footnote. It certainly wasn't cyberpunk at that point.
Right. Well, cyberpunk was Billy Idol at that point. But
exactly.
In the 90s, the rare times that you saw steampunk were the Time Traveler movie, you say, or that might have been 2000, around that time period. But you would see it in science fiction shows as just not even a B story, maybe a C story, and a background setting. Like, they'd walk into this area, it's very steampunk, all the technology stuff's going here, let's find the villain, fix the problem, and get back to, what we perceive as normal time.
Yeah, I agree. It was sort of like, an embellishment more than it was like a, any sort of ism. And then in the aughts, in the 2000s, we began to see like this sort of ripple that begins in like 2005, and by 2007 you can track it, there's so much steampunk cultural activity happening at that point.
Right.
And so for the last decade, and I credit, steampunks are really into technology. That's a little bit of a misconception by some people that they might be Luddites or people that don't like technology.
Yeah,
they're
not Amish.
They're not Amish. They love it. They dance.
They're more Mennonite.
And so, I think like a lot of the best of fandom, the internet helped these people find one another, know, and it just sort of took off from there. And I think you start seeing the first cons around 2009, 2010, and now we have so many of them.
And it's also, migrated until they had their own cons. It was migrating into like San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con, where people were dressing the part. People had weird technology on display at their booth, even though they weren't selling that. They were selling stickers and shirts and whatever. But then, there's a steam iron toaster right there, where gears and mechanism. That's the whole thing too with the technology. It's bring some of the futuristic tones to it, but show the gears and the inner workings, and show that it's not really running on electricity. It's running on something that's generating the electricity.
Absolutely. Steampunks want to get under the hood of their technology. And I think as I went into this, I'm not a steampunk. I'm way outside of the subculture, but I love subcultures, and I've made a documentary earlier on in my life about people who build haunted houses for Halloween, because daggone it, I needed to understand what that was about. Why do you want to scare people? What drives you? With the steampunk film, I really wanted to understand of all of the sandboxes that you can play in, and if you're a science fiction person, science fiction is so much about looking into the future, and you can predict anything. Why are you drawn to looking backwards? You are still creating new things for that time period that didn't exist, but I wanted to understand what drew people to that. And by the end of making the film, that technology question kept coming up as for me, one of the most provocative questions. Like, we live in a time when everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a smartphone, everybody has all of these screens that we look at and all of these objects that are kind of pretty in an Apple design kind of way, but they're also meant to keep you outside of getting inside of them. You cannot modify these technologies. You're actually meant to throw them away. They're meant to be disposable.
Right.
And that seems to be a little bit of the steampunk ethos, is that, maybe technology should be more human, and it should be more. There should be more snags, and there should be more capability to actually modify it. And if it broke, God forbid, I mean, if you drop your iPhone in a bathtub, it's over. But maybe we should be able to repair these things, because if we look back to the last great technological moment, which is the turn of the century, back then, if you graduated from high school, you understood how to fix any technology that we had at that time.
You mastered the art of smelting.
Exactly.
And soldering. And even in a way, because they were building cogs and shaping iron and steel, it's almost like a blacksmith as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think another big thing that comes out in the film, of all of the ways steampunk can be expressed, there's a lot of beautiful examples in every genre of expression, but I found myself really drawn to the makers and the people that are making those objects. There's a group in my film, Obtanian Works, who are out of San Francisco. They built a 3-story Victorian house that drives around, and they take it to Burning Man. Burning Man's another subculture scene where you see a lot of steampunk activity.
It's where the hippies went.
It's where the hippies went, and now there's some people in the film that were actually answering the question. Steampunk is today's answer to the hippies in the 60s and the beats in the 50s, that it's an actual legitimate subculture, counterculture, if you will.
Oh, it is, because Burning Man is bigger than ever, and that hippie culture, I think, is credited more, because a lot of times when you use the stereotypical hippie terminology, people are thinking the 60s, they're thinking Woodstock, or they're thinking the ones that are following the Grateful Dead, maybe Dave Matthews and Fish, those kind of things. But the modern version of it, with the Burning Man scene, it's hippie, but it's also mixing into like the EDM scene. Mm-hmm. So you got these hippie chicks who aren't shaving and taking showers. They're still making plates of spaghetti and and building little crafts to sell. But then they're tripping out to like Skrillex.
Yep.
Dubstep, and then dubstep's even that's gone now. But
a lot you're right.
Current stuff.
A lot of the same
Steve Aoki, those kind of things.
The same desire to like hang out together and form little communities. Form a culture, form a community, and take care of one another. And
I think if it was legal, there'd be more compounds again.
I don't. Maybe there are steampunk compounds that we didn't found, or that we didn't find, but
they're buried inside the mountains in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
And I think at the end of the day, like as a species, we seem to want to belong to groups. We seem to want to find people who are like ourselves and hang out with them, and that feels like family, and that feels like home. And I just think the steampunks, are really driven to get their hands dirty and make stuff, and that seems to be a differentiation for me from some other fan cultures where maybe it's mostly about consuming what you love as opposed to actually getting in there and making some of your own stuff. Steampunks dress up, but they're not dressing up like other things that they've already seen. They're creating their own personas, and I think that's pretty cool to me.
Steampunk just defined as being I'll say 1800s in America, but the Victorian era and stuff like that. Is it just defined to that particular time period?
I think maybe the time period, but not just England. I think you see some Wild West, some American.
That's what I'm saying. 1800s United States or the Victorian England.
Yeah, those two.
But is it limited to that? I mean, if you go back further. Like, would the Flintstones be considered steampunk? Because they're in the caveman.
Would that be like paleo
era? But they had cars and television and those kind of things.
I don't think that Flintstones had steam engines though, so I think we'd have to find a new.
But even steampunk
moniker for them.
Look, this is why I keep getting the vision of Doc Brown with the train showing up at the end of Back to the Future 3, because it was steam or coal engine steam. The train had futuristic properties. It could time travel. It could transform. It could do all those things. But as I've seen the genre expand, not everything is just it runs on steam. A lot of it is gear generated.
Right.
So does this, even though it's even though it's named for the steam usage, I think it's kind of outgrown that too.
Well, I mean, there are splinter groups like Diesel Punk is
factions.
Other factions. Diesel Punk is one. The new Mad Max film. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this is steampunk to me. Oh, but except it's gas.
Right.
Not steam. So,
but I think as far as getting, we'll just say this: getting the even though we know there's different versions of it, for the mass medium out there that either knows of it or doesn't know it at all, no matter how it's broken down, it still kind of just goes under the label of steampunk.
I think so. It's a catch-all, if you will, for anything that's playing with older technology. and trying to imagine what you can do with that.
And by older technology, we're not talking about playing with the old Wurlitzer organ that your grandfather had or something
your
like that.
your old Commodore 64. Although I'm sure somebody is modding a Commodore 64 in Steampunk as we speak.
Look at my dot matrix printer, green and red. I'm so steampunk. One thing you said too, around 2005, it started a resurgence, an explosion, if you will, of this thing. What around 2005? What caused that? Other than the internet, was there something specific? Was it an event, a gathering, a movie, something that sparked people's interest and said this could be something viable?
I don't know that it was any one work of art or any published anything. I think it was more, again, that moment where the internet was exploding and people were just able to make that connection. I asked that question to almost everybody in the film, and if they had an answer, that was the thing that's
almost like trying to figure out the Big Bang. Like, what started it? It's like, where did this culture come from? Well, it's around this time. Well, what was this specific thing? You know what? We really don't know, but it started around this area and then just grew.
There were some books that began to bring it back into the focus. Sherry Priest's Bone Shaker was a book that came out around that time, and it was a best-selling book, and she's in our film, and she doesn't understand why it caught the zeitgeist or why it sort of captured people's imagination at that particular point. A lot of people in the film talk about that moment where everybody had a cell phone so you could find one another, but also that same moment where like everybody was just beginning to have maybe discomfort about all of this technology, this modern stuff that we had, and that yesterday, the Wall Street, or 2 days ago, Wall Street shut down because of a glitch. United Airlines has been grounded because of glitches.
Let me tell you, my flight on Wednesday, I'm taking off to come to San Diego when we get off. And then you got to wait till you hit about 10,000 feet for the Wi-Fi in the plane. Not very steampunk, but Wi-Fi in the plane, modern marvel of technology, kicks in. And then when I did, I searched Twitter and some news feeds and stuff, and all of a sudden I'm seeing United coming across all the news feeds. I'm like, what the hell happened? We're in the air, and then I see they grounded everything. So you start freaking out, but you don't want other people on the plane freaking out. And then until you hear some other guy go, "What the fuck happened with United?"
Yep.
And then right after that was the New York Stock Exchange, and then right after that, DC lost power for like 2 hours.
So what happens when the grid goes down? I mean, that's actually one, if you can argue that there's a political underpinning to this,
right?
Because there are many steampunks that take this really far, and they practice what they preach. They really want it to be about recycling objects. Anything that you would make in steampunk should be something that has already come before, and you're just hacking it and retooling it to be a steampunk object. These people, they argue that steampunk actually could be a life-saving point of view, because as we become so dependent that we don't understand technology, when we can't even touch it because it might break. What would happen if the grid goes down? Well, we have to go back to some of the older technology.
A lot of technology. I mean, look at everything you have. All your videos and photos and music on your phone are there, but they technically don't exist. It's not something that you hold, you can pick up and make work.
It's not tangible.
A lot of our stuff can't touch anymore. It exists, but it's like it doesn't. It's a weird thing to try to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
It exists, but it doesn't exist. There's no physical property to it. So if it does go down, you're fucked. Yeah. But in the steampunk era and that kind of thing, you built it. So if it goes down and breaks, you can take it apart. You can work with the gears. It was pretty much life before the modern digital age.
Exactly. It's like MacGyver set in 1876. And I think steampunks actually want this stuff to break because that's the fun part. I mean, within the community, a large percentage of steampunks. Maybe there's a small percentage that really just like to dress up and they like that aesthetic, but largely these are pretty smart, geeky, engineering type people who really do want to understand the way things work and break things in order to take them apart and put them back together, because that's the way their brains are wired.
Right.
That seems to be what unites a lot of them. Yeah.
We only have a few more minutes here with you. Vintage Tomorrows is the movie.
Yep.
Where can people get it?
Well, our premiere is Saturday night at Comic-Con. Manchester Grand Hyatt Ballroom D, whatever. I don't know when this is coming out, but there you go.
This is actually airing that night.
So we're having our premiere as we speak. We have a website where we're going to provide information about the release. We're still in discussions with distributors, but I anticipate that it's something you can download and watch this year.
A video on demand kind of thing. All right.
Exactly.
Well, where would they go for that?
Well, I think right now go to our website, www.vintagetomorrows.com, and await future word on where they can watch it.
Well, we'll look forward to this. I definitely want to see. I saw the teaser that your guy sent over there. I would like to see the rest of it. I'm sure a lot of people listening.
We just got our first review. It was kind of exciting.
Oh, thank you. And a lot of people who are into this genre, or maybe hearing this for the first time and go, I've always seen that. I don't really know about it, and this might be my step into exploring and everything. Definitely check out Vintage Tomorrows. Check out the website, like you said, for the information of where it comes out. Is there anything from the movie that people should know about that we haven't covered here as far as Steam?
I think you pretty much...
Who did you talk to?
Pretty much covered it. We've talked to, a lot of the writers credited with galvanizing the literary subgenre, because that is the beginning. And we spoke to William Gibson, we spoke to Sherry Priest, we spoke to Gail Carriger, numerous other people, graphic novelists, Paul and Anana, who wrote Boilerplate, which is a great, beautiful example. It's sort of the gateway drug, I think, for steampunk. If you don't know what it is, check out Boilerplate, and if you like it, then there's a lot more for you. And we spoke to a lot of people in the maker scene. And my favorite thing in this whole film is the Never Was Hall, that 3-story house on wheels. And Shannon O'Hare out of San Francisco made that with his team, and they're truly a wonderful group of people. They walk this, they live it, they breathe it, they form a community around it, they go to Burning Man with it, and they just want to make stuff, and they want to inspire people to learn to do things that they didn't think they could, and that's a pretty cool thing.
Well, thanks to the digital modern age, you can go online to find out all this information about Vintage Tomorrows and get a tangible copy that doesn't exist, but it's there for you to view at one point. We'll take Brad. We'll take Bird McDonald at his word, even though he's not wearing suspenders or a bowler hat. So I don't know how steampunk his credibility is, but the movie seems amazing. And if you really want to get a crack into this subculture, and just so people know, because a lot of people just brand all this shit kind of nerdy and dude bros and jock type people, which is like, I don't want to know. It's actually kind of smart, because it's engineering and it's science, and it's not just like, oh my god, I love Deadpool. It's not a comic book kind of thing like that. It's actual tangible stuff that existed and was part of human culture that they're trying to just keep within the culture and not go completely digital where we're not touching anything.
I think that's accurate. That's a good. Can I borrow some of that
for
my spiel?
You can quote me on that, please. Just put my Twitter handle on it if you can, or something like that.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
McDonald, thank you so much. Vintage Tomorrows, go check it out.
All right, thank you, sir.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
We're back on the floor of the 2015 San Diego Comic-Con. My name is Erik Nagel, and we're broadcasting from the top of the NECA Toy Pavilion, right in the center of the San Diego Convention Center. You got a good view of seeing everything that's going on around here. We're going to move on now. We're going to head over actually to Petco Park, which is where the San Diego Padres play, and it's also the home to the Nerdist Industries for San Diego Comic-Con. They took over the whole stadium. They have stages, they have a carnival, they have all kinds of cool stuff going on, and they partnered to put out a movie called The Hive. It's a suspense, thriller, horror movie, brand new. We're going to talk to the director and the cast right now, so let's go over to Petco Park, Nerdist Industries, Nerdist Carnival, and talk to the cast and crew of The Hive.
It's Erik Nagel at San Diego Comic-Con.
I'm here with the cast of The Hive, a brand new horror movie coming out, thriller movie, suspense. It's got everything here. Can you guys tell me a little bit about it?
It has a lot of things, I will say that. Yes. Gabe, why don't you tell him about it?
You've been doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, all right.
This is Dave, the director.
Yeah,
he's going to tell us about The Hive.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, as the writer-director, I always want people to know as little as possible, because I want them to have the true Hive experience. Is it starts with Adam waking up in a room, and he's covered in this stuff, and it's all over the room. And
then end credits.
End credits, that's it. That's the whole movie. And, I mean, so much of the experience of the movie is going through what he's going through with him and putting the pieces together, the mystery, why he's locked in there, who left him the notes, why every piece of the, in the first 5 minutes we set up like 20 different mysteries of like why are there scissors on the floor? Why is this here? Why is that here? And we, and I think, we aim to answer all of those piece by piece.
It's interesting that you spend that much time to set it up, because nowadays everything's got to be quite okay, here's what's happening, and everything else has to follow right after that.
Right, yeah.
Because a lot of kids, I'm not saying you guys, but a lot of kids, don't have the attention span where they're like, why do they keep asking so many questions? Just answer everything immediately. Give it to me.
I'm not a kid.
So as this set up here, and so after the 20 minutes, you see all these pieces here. So he's going through this whole thing.
I wouldn't say 20 minutes, but there's a couple minutes where you walk around and you see, he learns stuff, and then piece by piece he starts putting things together. What's really going on? What's happening? And things keep getting revealed, and you start to learn about every aspect of it.
And drop that over there. And can I call you Gabe? Can I call you Gabe? I don't know you that formally, so I didn't want to step on any toes. But for those who don't know who you are, you're Adam in the movie, but you're also
Adam, the Big C.
They may know you from the Big C, which was a great show, and I think ended a little too early than it was supposed to.
Should have been the writer, man.
I know the
Where
story.
were you at?
I was watching, but I don't know who to talk to. So going from a major television show into this kind of genre, the horror genre here, what is the transition like as far as going from something that big into something where you're pretty much I don't know if it's uncharted territory for you, going into the indie scene and going into horror movies like this?
Well, Super 8 was sort of like horror-y. We had a creature there that we chased. Not necessarily that there's one like bad creature in this movie, but the sort of running from something and being afraid was sort of familiar. But the way that Dave put it all together was completely foreign. and I think that genre, like just to the genre, it's completely foreign. So it'd sound weird if I said, I did this before, because there's really nothing like this that I've seen. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do it with someone who's like as creative and stylistic as Dave, and act with these guys and talk to Steve sometimes. Get a little dose of Steve and then forget that he was ever around.
Hand it to her. Hello, how are you, Gabriel? And you play who in the movie? What was your character?
My character was Jess, and I also played partially the voice of the virus.
Now, this isn't your first venture into this kind of thing either, because you did one of the Paranormal Activities.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity, the Marked ones.
Is this a genre that you're falling in love with, that you want to do more with?
Yeah, I always loved horror films. Like my mom brought me up on horror films. I loved like all the Halloween movies, so it just happened to be that like right after Paranormal Activity, I fell into the Hive. And,
right.
Like Supernatural seems to be like following me.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad gig. I have a question for Dave, since I'm all over the place because we only have so much time here with you. But going into this supernatural and horror genre seems to be really coming alive lately. A lot of these lower budget and more independent style movies are doing better than when they put out the big Hollywood slasher films, or even the ones that are like possessions or exorcisms and things like that. These smaller indie films seem to be more believable just because there's not a big studio and there's not a major Hollywood name attached to these projects there.
Yeah.
How does did that worry you going into this thing?
To be completely honest with you, when I got involved in this, there was so little thought about business, and it was so much about championing a vision that I had for this film and just trying to like see it realized, and honestly using whatever I had to do to get it realized,
right,
to make what you're gonna see, and so it was very little consideration to me. I had an opportunity to make it, and I was so incredibly excited about it, and I just picked up and went.
Well, you're coming out at the right time, because I think even 10 years ago, trying to do a movie like this and such a small scale, it wouldn't flow, because it would kind of get out in maybe a handful of theaters, and there wasn't the advantage of a Netflix or on-demand service, stuff like that, to boost it on the other end.
Oh, yeah.
But now to put it out here, and the younger generations love going to these movies and watching these movies on demand and what have you, because it's not the big presentation from the studios, like going to see an Avengers, things like that. They wanted to have their thing. This feels like it relates to their generation.
Sure. And look, I'm in a pretty unique place because, for the last 10 years I've been making music videos, and music video budgets aren't what they used to be. I'm like, I've been trial by fire with low budget filmmaking, and I know it like the back of my hand. And so when we came to do this project, I felt very comfortable working in that space, and I really think people are going to feel. I don't think people are going to get mired in the idea that it's that it's low budget. I mean, I think they're just going to see it and it feels like a movie.
I'm not saying the quality is low budget.
Sure,
I'm saying
sure.
as far as how critics will review it or how the press will perceive it, is it's like, well, it's not Sony behind it, it's not Universal, so
Sure.
it's a low budget kind of indie kind
Sure,
of thing,
sure.
and they'll just say, yeah, it's got its charm, whatever, and then they kind of write it off. But it's really the people that go and find this online or see the trailer stuff that go out and say, and it's word of mouth saying this movie is amazing, you got to go out and check it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hope. I mean, those are the people I made it for.
How was the financing for this? Like, how hard was that to pull everything together?
I was really, really, really fortunate that I was around some amazing producers, and they really did a good job of shielding me from it. So I got to be creative, and I got to work with these guys, and that was it. I mean,
did you pick all of them, or was this just all they're attached to the picture?
I mean, this is 100% true. I had no pressure on who I had to pick. I picked these guys because they are the people that I wanted in my movie. They gave me the best performances in the auditions, and they killed it. They killed it. I mean, I remember, our audition. We went extra long, and we were just working through it, and we just had chemistry. And she, I mean, killed it. And I mean, with all these guys.
It was. As far as the financing, that was never in my mind when telling the story. It was just trying to tell the most unique story we could, and it was always big for me to want to tell the story. Sitting in the trailer waiting for a setup, it's just trying to make this as scary and real as possible for everybody.
Yeah.
It's so different. I feel like it's so different. I feel like like you're saying, Sony's not behind it. I feel like people will forget about that watching it and just be in love with the story, because it just it draws you in and it forces you to connect with it. And I mean, I haven't even seen it yet, but I just I have seen bits and pieces of it, and I just feel like through the script and through what we did, it'll draw you in, and you'll just want to know more and more.
Yeah, you lived it.
I lived it.
Well, you haven't seen it, so how disappointed would you be if you go to see it and you're cut out of the whole movie? You're just in the trailer.
I can promise you that didn't happen.
I might cry. Yeah.
That would never happen.
Well, I'm running out of time here with you. I'm speaking to the cast and the director from The Hive. When does it come out?
Trailer dropped today. The trailer's out today.
We're still waiting on a release date on that. But check out the trailer.
Yeah.
Where can they go for more information? What's the website, social media, all that stuff?
I think you would go to Nerdist, and Nerdist will be keeping you up to date. And honestly, I feel so lucky to be with Nerdist. I mean, they're such a great company.
They are.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so
Thanks.
much for this, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Whoops, you know what the music means. Our time is up.
Yes, our time is up from the floor of the San Diego Convention Center. 2015 San Diego Comic-Con is coming to a close, at least for this show. My name is Erik Nagel. So many people to thank because so much has gone on, and we got to make sure that we get everything in here. First off, we got to thank Greg Opie Hughes and Don Wicklund for making this happen and allowing us to come out here and do everything. We do really appreciate it. We want to thank our friends at Loot Crate who sponsor the show. Go to lootcrate.com/Opie and save $3 on a brand new subscription. I want to thank Roland. Now, I know Roland gets a lot of shit, but Roland really made a lot of things happen out here at Comic-Con. There's interviews that we have that we still haven't had time to air. We're going to do that probably next week. Roland really went above and beyond trying to get everything done that he possibly could for interviews and arrangements and all kinds of stuff here at San Diego Comic-Con. So I want to give him props. Rolandos99 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow him. I want to thank the guys at NECA Toys for allowing me to use their space to broadcast portions of this show that you have heard today. NECAonline.com. Thank you, Randy, as we spoke to him earlier about all the new products. Thanks to everybody that we spoke with today, especially thanks to Dwight Howard I mean, that was just a chance meeting, running into him on the floor, and he took the time to hang out and talk a little bit about the con and the experiences, what's going on with him. So cool. Thank you so much. The cast of Doctor Who, Ron Perlman, Bird McDonald, guys at the Nerdist, by the way, have been very cool. We couldn't get Chris on the program this time, but maybe next time around. Matt Myra, you know I've been texting you. I want to get you on the program to talk about your new podcast. The clock is striking 7 p.m. here on Pacific Coast time, and by clock, I'm looking at a replica of the clock tower from Back to the Future right in my eyesight here. So that means we have to go. Please follow It's Erik Nagel on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and you can also follow E-Rock Radio on Twitter and Instagram as well if you feel inclined to do so. This show will be up on SiriusXM on demand. The interviews will be up on YouTube at some point. Until next time, be seeing ya.